Yeah, there's nothing coming through, so.
Speaking of nothing coming through, welcome everybody. So yeah, Jay, we're talking about this. Before I cue my intro, I showed this to Jay, and you can see her face. Actually, I got a response from the thumbnail today.
Oh boy.
I think when I saw this, I think the only thing that I can say to this before we get into this has already been said. And if you guys know me in the channel, you know my favorite person in the world is Nick Cage. So I think he says it the best here. So I'm just gonna let this play.
Try everything for hire. We'll blow some shit up. It's more fun. Shut the fuck up. You watch your fucking mouth.
Anyways, I guess let's go to the intro. Yeah, I guess I'm just.
Awkward pause.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I was going to do that. That was supposed to be a better setup. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just go to the intro. So. So in a perfect world, that's better coordinated. Anyways, yes. So, doesn't work as well as mine at times because I got to figure out how to put it into here so I could just click a button because my transition would have been a lot better. But you get the point.
We're
That
here.
face.
Let's do it.
But my face-off reference still stands. Um, that was my thoughts when I realized that. So I've been covering this for a while, and we do a writing thing here on our segment, tongue in cheek. But this is a special edition because the person I've been covering has a fucking book.
I am terrified to know what's in this book.
There's two. There's fucking two of them. We're just doing one today.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know if I exactly have time to get into two of them, so I'm gonna have to do the second one later. Um, I don't know if I should start with the second one first because to me it's the worst.
Oh no.
I've been bouncing back and forth. I also want to keep in mind that on this it says New York Times bestseller, selling author. Um, you should really think about the fact that this person, when you think New York Times bestseller, okay, I don't even know how the fuck to start this off. When you think New York Times bestseller, I think John Grisham, Tom Clancy,
Lucy Score.
pick your poison. Whoever it is you read, like I'm more of like spy thriller and horror. I'm sure you've got other people that are different from me. But Miranda Sings is in that group, and I think everybody should be terrified at the implications of this. So I was tooling around the internet and I brought somebody up. And the reason why I'm going to refer to a YouTube video as opposed to us bringing this book up because I personally clipped. Hey, what's up, Cement Shoes? By the way, what's up, Janie Davis? I clipped, or I will link everybody to the Amazon so you can see this is a real fucking thing. The book is on Amazon, and the person that I watched a review for. Her name is Rachel Oates. We'll be going over it. She does a lot of book reviews. They said you could go and see the what is it, the preview of the book. What's in the preview is so fucking inappropriate. I can't show it here live, which is why I'm going to go to her review. And she states that too. I don't think, based on what's in the opening of this book, I can even fucking show it on YouTube, to be honest, without getting pulled.
Well, now I need to know. I'm going to look it up.
But yeah, so I will put a link in the description to Amazon where you can see the sample of the book, especially the one that's the diary one, but it's not spelled diary. But in the beginning, there's a particular picture that's inappropriate. So that's why I'm wondering if I should go to the second book first, because the first book is grossly inappropriate. What makes the first book kind of offensive even more is that it's labeled by this publisher under children's book. The second one is not. But the second book does have something super offensive off the jump, where the first book, it kind of just builds into more and more kind of creepy things. So I figured I'd let Jay pick today. Which one do you want to do first? Because I consider this like a little mini arc. As writers, we can critique the substance and nuance of a fellow peer. She's a writer.
Yeah.
She's an author. We should congratulate. Fuck me.
I couldn't even begin to pick which one, because I feel like we need more time to discuss the second one based on what you've told me. Time that we do not have today. So let's go with the first one.
Okay, so we'll go with the first, but good because
Wolf.
because based on the time period that these were released, yeah, I'm going to. There's so much to unpack, and if you guys have been following me, I've been talking about this for my Rise of Narcissism book series, because of everything this crazy person has been doing. I think that there is. I want to cover everything, because this is not just one facet, and based on the things I'm going to be showing you today, there's a very clear indication here, based on how these books are written, that this person does not think like you or me.
Which is not necessarily bad, but when you're doing uncomfortable, immoral shit, it's...
Oh yeah, when you market a book to kids, and make no mistake, because we watched the video, right? The infamous non-apology video. That's what I'm calling it, because it's not an apology video. I agree. I hate when people say, "Oh, the worst apology video." Make no mistake. That's not a fucking apology video. We covered this a million times. That's a go fuck yourself video.
Yep.
So this is So this is this is being covered as by people as like a lot of people are focusing on, I guess, the apology part, I want to say, but really there's a deeper story here. You weren't here for my stream that I did on Trisha Paytas, of all people.
Yep.
Doing an apology more sincere, and I never thought in a million years I would side with Trisha Paytas. Now, if anyone who wasn't here for the stream, go check it out. I might play a clip here. I had people who actually follow Miranda Sings or maybe Colleen Ballinger, whatever, in my fucking chat.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think I should play that clip because they don't know me and they don't
weren't
know
prepared.
they weren't prepared that they jumped into the wrong stream to start their bullshit. Um,
Ooh,
if
they're
they're
lucky I wasn't there.
um, I feel bad if they were younger and I kind of
Mhm.
scared them away because at this point I don't know any. But the person was like, "Well, you are like people are dogpiling on her and this stuff," and I went off. I counted it. It starts at the 2 hour mark, and what I said ended at 2:15.
Yeah,
So I might play that for you. But
that's fine.
I went off on them, and a lot of it was about proof and stuff.
Mhm.
And so, if you stumble across this video with me and Jay talking, you should also know normally Jay will be the one to rein me in. On this subject, do not expect that. If you come
Yep.
in and say a stupid fucking statement to us about anything, you will get eaten alive. We don't fucking care. I am not your typical YouTuber. I don't know if you saw the intro. I'm the villain. In this case, you don't even have the nice one to save you because she will probably be scarier than me because this subject is very serious, and that's the thing that I don't think people get. I've heard it floated around a lot, and I know this is kind of a really long thing before we get into it, but I think this is important. I've heard it float around a lot. It's a joke, or what she does is satire, and we'll even hear it from the person we're going to be listening to who is reviewing this book. Because once again, people, I can't show this. I can't fucking show this. I can't show this on YouTube.
Yeah,
I
you know,
even not being
satire,
monetized.
yeah, satire is satire. Like, there's a difference between satire and there's a difference and being fucking disgusting. Leave the fucking kids alone. Like, why is that a hard concept? I don't understand.
And I think that um yeah, the thing is too, and
Oh, I lost you.
oh shit.
Yeah, you
Hear
sound
me
like that.
now?
Yep, I got you.
Okay. So the thing about this too, and why I am using this person is because they are British, and if you guys don't know, the British humor is very different from ours. Some
Yeah.
stuff we would consider even inappropriate. Um, they're a little bit more loose on, and then some of the stuff isn't really. To me, some of it's like watching paint dry. No offense, British people. Um, but so they're pretty liberal with certain things.
I
And
mean,
she said,
like Hen was saying, like they start college at 17, so it's a different type of an adult. So,
so um, this is so to have this person say like, I don't get what the humor is, and I think that's the theme. That's the theme that I'm getting from a lot of people who are actually looking at this. Um, and exciting news. I don't know. I I don't know if I will get a full response, but I did get a sort of weird message from the person. But um, I reached out to Adam, and I want to see if I can actually end this series by talking with him because I would like to not
I would love
do
that.
so. Yeah, I would not like not doing a video clips from stuff from other interviews. I did watch the Swoop one, very
Mhm.
entertaining. But I wouldn't want to do like clips from it. I would like to get him on in his own words
Mhm.
to talk because, but I do understand um, if it doesn't happen because one, he's super big now, but
Mhm.
beyond that, he's probably had this discussion with people a fucking million times.
Right.
So I don't blame him because this is going to be an ongoing thing. What's
I
up,
think
Rebecca? How
I
are you?
think if you don't mind my opinions on, I think if you get Adam in here, I don't think you should focus on the past. I think you should focus on the the what's next for you aspect instead of having him relive his trauma and dish it out and all the stories that we've already heard. My personal opinion is if he does come on here, I think you should turn it into a mental health healing type of situation so that we can talk about what's next for him, how he's coping with everything, what there's if there's anything he needs and stuff like that, because like you said, he's talked to so many people about this. It's all over the place. He's tired of living through it. So I think it would be really cool to instead of asking him about what happened again, just being like, what's next for you? What are you trying to do next? Like, you know what I mean? So that we can end it on the growth from the event instead of hyper fixating on the negative
Event
aspect.
itself. Yeah, because here's the thing, and I totally agree. I didn't exactly have that that kind of mindset, but yeah, I was in that ballpark because I was really thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, and part of the reason too, I also wanted to have him on is to really also congratulate him on doing
Mm-hmm.
something like this because, um, you know, I know what it's like when you call something and nobody fucking listens to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's extremely frustrating. So,
We were part
um,
of the dep team. We know.
yeah, yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
nobody, there was not a person in the world, and now look where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And now Amber Heard is having actual real breakdowns in the media. People are now seeing it. So I get that feeling. Also, too, I've been part of groups who have fucked me over too. Not going to mention any names, but fuck you guys. If you still troll my videos, you know who you
Will
are.
do.
Um, so I get it. I get being ostracized and stuff like that, and I would be curious to see, what the plans are. And I'm good. I'm glad that he's you know trying to
Mm-hmm.
do different things. So,
He seems to be
uh,
doing good for himself now.
yeah. I follow the Twitter, and
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through some of his videos. There's a Disney video too. Exciting stuff. Don't know because here on the channel we're not huge Disney fans, but you do know. Like I said, I don't ever like to ruin people's experience. It's just my own personal bias towards that whole fucking
Mm-hmm.
company. But
Right.
for him, if
Yeah.
your dream is to go to Disneyland, I'm glad. And if you ever come across these videos or you just check me out to see what I'm about, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Good on you. Let's talk about this creepy ass bitch now. So there's books. There's books, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna actually listen to somebody else's review. But did you go on and check? Did you see the preview?
Yeah.
Do you see why I can't?
Yeah. The book blurb. Yep.
Oh, there's more. There's in the second book there is a picture of a child with a photoshopped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the second book that she talks about, and it's kind of funny because we're gonna play this first video, and she'll go through the first book, but when she does the second book, she goes, "It's tamed, but not," and says, "I'm very uncomfortable," and that's how she starts the video, and
Yeah.
then brings that up. So, um, yeah, well, because this video is 40 minutes within itself,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we'll be stopping and pausing and all that, so hopefully I get through this, and then we'll kind of go through that, but, we normally, as authors, we can bring up our own critiques because she goes through the whole entire book. So, Aaron, I think I said good morning, but if I didn't, morning. Welcome to the most tired villain in all of YouTube entertainment today, General Zod.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you guys don't know, go check this person out, and I'll have a link in the description eventually because I fucking forgot to put it in at 2 in the morning. I worked it. So I didn't get back, and I was also kind of buzzed because I took 2 shots. That's not important. Anyways, the point is, don't try to organize your video when at like almost 1 in the morning after you eat steak and have had 4 shots and
Mhm.
a thing of Jack and Coke. So
Not the best look, but okay.
So, anyways, this is Rachel Oates, and she is just amazing. She is a British YouTuber who does a lot of book reviews. I actually have not gotten a chance because it's a long video. I'm probably going to watch it today when I go to pick up my daughter. But she does a review on the Andrew Tate book, which, if you guys don't know, Andrew Tate is a personal hero of mine. I kid when I say that because I know there'll be some people like, what? No,
I
but
was gonna
seriously,
say, that's not what you told me
guy
last time we talked about him.
guy is fucking hilarious to me. I just, before we get started, because this isn't about that, but the books are in the same vein. Okay, um, Andrew Tate reminds me of a cartoon villain. I think that's why I like him. And honestly, I find it funny. Like, I refuse to believe that somebody is that misogynistic. Like, I know people get offended, but let's be real. He's like YouTubers who create a character, only he's on a bigger scale. I fucking refuse to believe he's that misogynistic at a certain point. I do think a lot of that's about money. I don't know about you, but I think a lot of that image is just he knows now what
Just for
his
Christian
market
views.
is and he's playing it up.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, I just had to bring that up because she does have a video on Andrew Tate's book. And the first fucking quote, which is how I know this man is a human troll, is that, am I misogynist? Yes. If misogyny and sexism equals being a male alpha, and I'm like, that's the first quote of the book, and I go, I would fucking read this book. I would read this and probably like highlight shit from it. It's so fucking ridiculous. And I know there's a big trafficking scandal or whatever with him. He's in another country, so I'm gonna be straight up. To be honest, and this is not me defending Andrew Tate because he's a scumbag. In all seriousness, he really is a piece of shit. You got to understand, he's in another country and the rules are different. So the things that they're saying, I know the system there, and I'm going to say I don't 100% buy it. Now, do I think he was doing some shady shit? It's Andrew Tate, more than likely, yes. Would I say human trafficking? I'm going to have to see a lot more proof than what's provided. So,
I have no idea. I don't know nothing about that.
yeah, it's a whole big thing. But that's neither here nor there. So she's done that, and based on how she reviews this, I'll be very interested to see what she says about the actual true best-selling author, Andrew Tate, New York Times bestseller. Just saying, we live in a sad world where people like this are actually getting bestseller. Remember where that used to actually mean something?
Yeah. Not
Now I
anymore.
feel. Yeah, now I just feel like they just fucking give it to you. But here we go. So
Do I want it? Yes. Do I need it? No.
Bandwagon. But no, I am not talking about her cringe-inducing non-apology with a ukulele.
All aboard the toxic gossip train. The only thing I've ever groomed is my 2 Persian cats. I'm not a groomer. I'm just a loser.
I am doing what I do best, and I am being snarky about her attempts at writing a children's book. Seriously. Now, Colleen has written 2 books as Miranda. Today we're going to be looking at the first one. This is Self-Help by Miranda Sings, a children's book written by Colleen Ballinger from the perspective of her satirical.
And I just want to, I'm going to be doing this a lot because a lot of things piss me off. And the great thing about this too is that she also points this out. But I wanted to point it out as to people who write. I think it's a stupid crutch, and I think, how do I put it? Maybe you know where I'm going with this. When people purposely misspell stuff because it's part of the character or whatever,
Yeah.
and it looks shitty, on the title or things are conducted shitty and they're like, oh, it's part of the character. You know what I mean? When they like
Yeah.
build that, to me, that's not good writing.
I agree.
It's like trying to fill the page up. You know what I'm saying? What's your take on it? I think you can explain it better than I can, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I do. Like, my whole thing is like, yeah, granted, yes, this is a character. She's writing as her character. You know, I get it. I understand. But at the same time, you still need to be professional. Literature is an art. It's not just a, doing whatever you want to do, just get some clicks and stuff. Like, literally, to purposely misspell it, like, I understand, like, why she did it, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like cringing as my author self because I'm like, ugh. Because look at it. Not only is the spelling wrong, but look at the cover. Like, there's so much. It's just disorganized. It looks disorganized and disjointed, is what it looks like to me. Whereas when you have other covers. Oh yes, exactly, Janie. And
you can read that if you wanted to, because unlike Miranda, we're professional here on my channel. I think.
Yeah. No, they want to be able to blame the mistakes. Yeah, and then that's the thing. It's just I have a theory, and I think it's something that one of the victims said. I can't remember. Maybe it's something that Swoop said. I don't know. But I have this working theory that Miranda Sings is who she truly is, and Colleen Ballinger is the character.
Oh, like a reverse Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Or, sorry, I'm taking this to movies again, folks. I do fucking movies on here. But anyways, it's kind of like, oh, hi.
Hello.
How are you? I am excited that we have new people. Which, by the way, not to do a shameless plug, but my video that I did the other day it has like almost 300 views now, but it was like at 100 and something by the time it got out. So thank you everybody who joined me for that. Because I never, I've been. People have been interested in this, I think, because of how passionate and how closely I've been following this. This is important to me. If you guys don't know, I have a kid. I have a daughter, 16. Super proud of her. Going to pick her up today. Speaking of which, this is personal to me because of, as we'll talk about right now, for instance, like this first book, and we'll go through all the gross, inappropriate shit in it, but it's marketed towards kids. It's you saw on the thing, it's a children's publisher. That's not like us making shit up. So when she said that bullshit in her apology that she's never marketed towards kids, and to be fair towards her, you don't really have an option. Like, if the publishing house puts you under kids, I think that's kind of a weird situation because her second book is not published under the same publisher as a kid's book. So, okay, we could say the publisher did that, but it's because of the brand and image you presented. So this bullshit about how you're not marketed towards kids, I don't buy it. I think that it's crazy. It's just crazy. It's
what it is.
Yeah, and really, I don't know who to blame here. The editors, and there's going to be clips later in this video where you see her talking about this book. And literally, she talks about getting into arguments with the editor to put things in. So even if someone knows to come, well, hey, maybe Colleen's editors, put stuff in, or maybe or something. She had approval on all of this shit, which now raises a lot of fucking questions to me about a lot of things. And this is why I got into arguments with stupid fucking people coming into my chat who are defending her, like, and here's the thing. I'm going to say this again and make it very fucking clear for anyone who comes here, except for new people who don't know me yet. Hi, if you're just interested in the topic, I'm not an asshole. But if you come in here as a fan and you fucking give me a 2-word sentence like I'm just dogpiling, I want proof. You put a link and you link me to evidence. If not, shut the fuck up. Because I am not going to put up with stupid shit.
That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, I have mods and things like that. I had to block people that night. And it's crazy. I refuse though to let people just give me sentences and no proof, because this right here, this is all proof. Like, who the fuck? And you can say this is satire, but given everything we're going off of, this is getting more and more weird. Yes. Do you have it? Do you have? Do I have a book? One day in the future.
We don't have the book. No, we do not.
I'm
not buying that. I'm not supporting her.
Oh goodness, that character yesterday singing, Rebecca was here. I believe she was here during that stream. And I went on a 15-minute rant, and I ripped them apart.
They're
but
lucky.
I was, but it was kind of warranted. It's like I said with Amber Heard, man. Don't fucking tell me somebody's innocent unless you have proof. Link me to actual proof. I believe we had a stream about Amber Heard one time, and we asked for proof, and the person left. So I want fucking proof. Like, don't come in and just yell random shit and then go, oh, well, and then leave. You know what I mean? Like, no, because you know you're wrong. Like, you want to be a fan, that's cool. I don't doubt. There's probably shit that I like that people don't like. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the true danger and the validity of what this person is saying. My strong feelings against this is for children, and you have kids too, Jay. You have young kids. This could be the demographic that, like, if you weren't a good parent, your kids could be swept up in this bullshit, which is why we feel like this should be held accountable, because as you'll see, this first book is marketed towards children, and I'm not talking like even 13, 14, hell, even 12. I mean kids. The next book's scarier because she's got drawings in there from fucking kids, and like 6, 7 years old. Now, I don't know if it's faked or if they're actually real fucking drawings. Who the fuck knows? In either scenario, it's weird.
Yeah, and
it's weird.
That's the thing that's so hard about this is there's so much misinformation out there, and it's like you don't know like what's real and what's not. And so like I'm glad that we're diving into it and kind of looking into all of it and getting all of the evidence that we need to actually see what's actually going on here, because this is so I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned.
Because when I told Jay about this, she didn't even know there were books. And I don't think most people do know that there's books. And within these books themselves, you can see a lot. So I'm going to play it. I'm sorry. We'll probably go off on side tangents a little bit. But this is important because I really need people to understand the context of what's going on. And I also wanted to thank people because this is the most views I've gotten. And I'm glad because I want people to view this. Like, seriously, people should know about this. When I go on my tangents and rants and I lock in on something, it's because I find it important. This strikes a nerve with me because of my daughter.
Leave the kids alone.
Leave them kids alone, I think that's who was that? Pink Floyd? DeWalt? Yeah.
Character Miranda sings. This waste of paper was published by Simon & Schuster Children's. You know how I feel about Simon & Schuster and their terrible celebrity vanity projects. I have a whole rant about it in my Jake Paul video. But this is their children's imprint, so everything here is aimed at young children and teenagers.
Paul's book is
this
more
was published back in 2015, and
that.
It promises its young target audience that it'll be a guide to getting a boyfriend and lying, basically. Now, this book is a parody, and you know me, I love a good parody. Give me some good satire, give me a good parody, like, ooh, love it. I actually have a whole video on the art and wonder and beauty and legitimacy of parody if you want to go check it out. But in regards to this book in particular, I have a couple of complaints. One, I'm not sure that this is a particularly clever or well executed parody. Yeah, it's not good enough. Two, the basic marketing for this book doesn't make it particularly clear that it is a parody. That is, unless you already know who the Miranda character is. And from a lot of the reviews I read, a lot of the parents buying this book for their kids didn't know who Miranda was. They didn't realize this book was satire.
So very important right there. And I don't know if this is a failure on the publisher or the person writing the book, because, and we write too, and I'm sure you've gone further in this process that I have. I'm still like, actually, exciting news. I'm pretty far into my book, but that's not the point. We're gonna have a stream to do that. I might share some excerpts, but as writers, right? And she says this later. There's fucking editors and shit like that, right? This makes me say, like, even if she makes this book or something, I feel like, and I'm not giving Miranda any credit here, but I feel like it's on the publisher to make very clear what kind of book this is, like, to the audience. And like, so I think you can answer that better, because at a certain point, I don't know how the whole process works once you get the book written in conception and all that shit, and it's down to marketing it.
So the problem is, because it's a children's publisher, the children's publisher is going to have to market it. It's through children, and that's where I have the issue. There's a difference between writing a satire book for adults versus absolutely writing it under the children's. It almost seems like first of all, I blame both, because the children need to be protected, but also it's the problem is, once you publish a book under children, in my opinion, I haven't been published by a publisher, but in my knowledge, once a publisher publishes a book and they publish it based on genre, for instance, they have to market it with that genre in mind to get the audience that they need. So my problem with this is, not only was this published under the children's section, but it would have had to have been promoted as a children's book.
And here's the key thing, and I hate to say this because I do think on some level she does realize, but I do mostly blame this on the publisher, because they are the ones who have to then promote the book. So so at a certain point, especially, and you said the key word there, marketing. She's not marketing this. The company that's publishing it is marketing it towards that demographic, or promoting it on fucking Amazon towards that demographic. So, Chloe, right? Did I say that right? Or is it Chloe? I think. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Please don't take offense. I'm a villain, so I mispronounce shit on this channel all the time. But can someone please educate me on what I missed? What we are talking about is Miranda sings Colleen Bellinger. Just a quick, brief synopsis. When I first started this, I was mocking her video. That was the non-apology video. That's what we call it here. It was not an apology. It was barely a statement. I started digging into it, and it has inspired me to do this video series to kind of dive into everything. You're kind of in the middle of my series right now. You can go back. I have a playlist called The Rise of Narcissism. My first 2 videos are in there. This one will be in there after we get done with the stream. It's chronicling everything and this kind of pattern of behavior from this person, and why their statement, or whatever the fuck it is, and their innocence that they claim is not true. All of the evidence, all of the different side things, I've been working and compiling for about a good week now. I'll probably be following this for a while. to kind of show how terrible this person is. And they claim they are not marketing towards kids, and this is just kind of another piece to this puzzle that we're putting together. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Thank you. So, when was this written? Let me pull this up. I think she goes into it.
I'm reading these reviews on the Amazon.
Do you have a when it was written or published or whatever?
Let's see.
I want to say the first book was 2005 because the first book was before her Netflix show, and then the second book is during when she got her own Netflix show, and that's why it's kind of toned down a little bit.
July 21st, 2015.
Yeah, so the second book was around 2019, and that's where you can see, even though there's a grossly inappropriate thing at the very beginning of the book, she kind of scaled it down because she was on Netflix. So I think someone said to her, like, hey, you gotta, they were more picky with the shit that was in it. Not by much, believe me. You'll see when we get to that.
Yeah. July 21st, 2015.
So, yeah, and all this shit really started coming out 2020, but it's interesting because she said the same thing that I was thinking. Nobody knows about the bookend. Everybody's hyper focused on Adam about all this other stuff. There is, if you dig into this, there's so much, there's a pattern here. Kind of like what Chris Hansen does to Catch a Predator. There's a pattern.
Mhm.
God, it would be hilarious if someone sent this to Chris Hansen.
And that made it all the more inappropriate in their
I would
eyes.
pay to hear him
And
say.
3, even with the parody label, a lot of this humor and content is just inappropriate for children. It's gross, it's weird, it's kind of borderline predatory. Colleen makes jokes out of really, really inappropriate topics, which we'll get to in this video. And yeah, I just have a lot of thoughts about it. On the one hand, I have
Me too,
complaints
sis.
because this is just another low-effort YouTuber cash grab, but on the other, I have complaints because I do genuinely think this is inappropriate for the children it's being sold to. Before we start, let's take a look at a couple of the reviews on this book. This should give you an idea of what we're in for. Not appropriate for an 8-year-old. Or my 12-year-old. This book I felt was totally wrong on so many levels for my 8-year-old, who I feel is at an impressionable age, and even my 12-year-old. I'm so glad I read it before
1
letting
star.
her read it. I get that Miranda's aimed at tweens,
And
the
you've
book is meant
read
to be
some of the
really silly
reviews
humor.
too.
However, I don't know at what age a section on how not to be porn, or how to make yourself better by making other people feel worse, puberty and wiping is aimed at. I'm certainly not a prude, but really don't find these articles appropriate for my children. Warning to parents! Do not buy this book for your children. This book contains inference to having special cuddles with your uncle, riding daddy's saddle, pornography, 69 with your boyfriend, having a special place to go with your uncle. There is an underlining subliminal message of incest, which is unnerving to say the least. This book is highly inappropriate for children, and I would recommend you stay clear. 1 star. Rubbish. This is mature content, but Miranda/Colleen doesn't mind her younger audience seeing. It's completely inappropriate for kids, and they're her biggest fans. When I opened the book, the porn page is the one that it opened to. Really
That's
not
pretty
okay.
bad.
I'm returning the book without showing it to my daughter. Do you get the idea of how bad this is?
Ready?
Oh, God damn it.
Get
You
tickets
know what I
now.
love? I love
And
that
be the first.
I decided not to get ad-free.
And when you put this book into
is messing
context
with me.
of all the allegations surrounding Colleen now, and I keep wanting to say Colleen Hoover, that, oh god, she's been on my mind too much recently with all the books with all the videos I've made on her. But with all the allegations against Colleen Ballinger at the moment, and her being inappropriate with children, crossing boundaries with teens, sending inappropriate content to teenagers and young people and children, even...
Yeah, Rebecca, I would get ad blocker, but YouTube now made it, and this was a big thing. So many videos we could do, but YouTube has made it so you can't use ad blockers on YouTube. You have to see the promotion. And to be fair, these creators get ad revenue, so I don't mind just skipping past it because they'll still get the ad revenue. She put a lot of effort into this video, but so much to unpack. There's like so much to unpack. So just general thoughts here. So, Jesus Christ. You got anything to all of that? So, with the evidence, right, and then looking at this book.
I'm not surprised. There's nothing in this case that surprises me anymore. That's how disgusting and depraved this chick is. But I'm just so annoyed that this is in a book. I'm so annoyed that this is a book. I'm so annoyed that it exists, and yeah.
And it baffles my mind that it can still be people defending her. And I like to point out, and
Yeah.
Adam actually made a good point in his stream. There are people who defend her, but if this was a guy, then
She's
they
gonna
would
be
be
arrested.
crucified. They
Yeah.
would be crucified. And I said this on a stream before. They would be put into the ground below people who are canceled. That they'd be in that level. If this was a man, and I'm just being real here, if
Yep.
this was a guy who did this shit, they'd be done in like under a week. The fact that it's gone on this long, the fact that there's a 3-year gap before we're even seeing this stuff brought out kind of astonishes me, because if this was a guy, the people who are now doing articles because this has gained media coverage, they would have crucified this person.
Yeah, they would
right
have
away.
crucified him. They would have crucified him in 2020 when Adam even spoke without even any sort of evidence. I mean, obviously he had evidence, but you know what I mean? Like they would
Yeah.
have.
If you would have just said this was a white male who did this, oh my God, would have been their life would have been over. I give you an example, and I use Shane Dawson a lot because Shane Dawson kind of fits this mold, and it makes a lot of sense why they're friends. Shane Dawson had a lot of these accusations. I think the only reason why he survived is because it was later confirmed he's gay, so he kind of had that card going for him. And I hate to say that, but that's the God's honest truth, because he should have been buried, because a lot of the shit she's being accused of, it was never proven on his end definitively. But it's kind of in that you could almost say, like, dude, a lot of the shit he did was highly suspicious at the very least. And so this is the thing that pisses me off, and Pop Cotton had a good point, says the depravity of this doesn't stop with this one woman. There's an entire movement behind this sort of filth. And I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's nuts.
The more, I guess, like, not dramatic allegations, but people have criticized her for things like, exploiting her children on her family channel and stuff like that. With all these allegations against her, this book really, really isn't doing her any favors. No. Let's start by discussing the opening, and then we're going to go through bit by bit by bit. I've kind of organized it into sections and themes and areas. Probably one of the least offensive parts of the book is the opening page. This is a disclaimer. The book opens by telling kids to buy multiple copies of the book so they can have one clean one and one messy one to do all the activities in. I know this is meant to be a joke, but you just know kids are really going to ask for this, don't you? Like, this is what kids do. This is a way for Colleen to just sell more books and more merch. Like, I should also warn you that, like, because of the character of Miranda and like who Miranda is as a character and how young she's meant to be and stuff, the spelling in this book is terrible. That's all intentional. Just, you get used to it. This book has a lot of cutouts and activities where you draw in the book, so you need to get another backup book. Go buy another one right now so you can cut this one up and draw in it and have an extra one that is perfect. It's like when she who will not be named released her first poetry book with multiple coloured covers, even though the entire content was the same, and then encouraged her fans to go out and like collect them all. Or with her second book, where she had these crappy sections of bonus content at the end in like 3 or 4 different versions. So again, you'd have to go out and buy all of them. Or when Jake Paul released his Buy That Merch song.
I'm sorry, I can't really hate this song. I just find it so ridiculous.
I feel like even though this is portrayed as a
Fucking
joke, said through a character, this is Colleen's way of trying to push kids to buy more of her stuff, buy more of her merch, buy more of her books, whatever, while past.
Okay, I just want to highlight something. Whether you hate or like Jake and Logan Paul, I will give them something. They're geniuses with their marketing. Like, yes, is it scumbag because they had a young demographic? And I'd like to reiterate, they pivoted a lot of their content. But yes, it's scumbagish. But this is a different level to me. That's just like a hustle, and they knew what they were doing. Yes, ethically, it's not right, but that I kind of get. It's just like if you see a company like Enron or something like that. Does it make what they did right? No, but it's to me a different level of scumbagish because now she's not only like exploiting as fun as money goes, but the content too. Jake and Logan Paul are just fucking idiots. Most of their comments, their content is stupid shit. It kind of reminds me of like the era of like Jackass and shit like that. So I can't really judge them harshly because I watched Jackass, I watched Tom Green. They did a lot of stupid, dangerous shit, and people did copy it. So from an ethical standpoint, we can all go, "Oh, that's horrible," whatever. This
Yeah.
is different because it borders on encouraging weird sexual things. It borders on fetishizing and co-signing on incest and shit. It talks about uh, like biology and stuff and kind of makes a joke of it as far as womanhood and things like that. This is a very different level to me than just two idiots who do stupid content in my mind. Very
Right.
stupid things that where you can go, oh, this will encourage kids to do stupid shit. That's one thing. But the over sexualization of content and promoting that to kids, to me, that's kind of on a different level than what Jake and Logan Paul have done or were doing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that makes sense to people, but that's kind of the way I see it. So, from a marketing standpoint, they're both the same idea, yes, but this is very different because to me, it's definitely more harmful. You're not only trying to mass market it, but you're mass marketing a message that is god awful.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, it comes down to like us as parents. It's our responsibility to make sure that the content our kids are consuming is not dangerous or anything like that. And like this is not exactly the same thing, but it's kind of like the best analogy I have is, for instance, like when you get into stuff like religion and stuff like that, like when you're trying to, my whole thing is I want my kids to make their own decision, but I want them to make it safely, and I don't want to push anything onto them that they can't figure out for themselves. Does that make sense? And so, like,
Mhm.
for me, when I'm going through and making sure I keep an eye on what my kids are consuming as far as, social media and stuff, you know, it's hard because, everyone matures differently and everybody perceives things differently. And so it's kind of like trying to make sure that we keep them safe, but also not shelter them too much, because then they go out and they seek that stuff anyway, if that makes sense. And they're going to
Mhm.
do it whether we stop them or not. And so it's really hard, like, and I feel for the parents that are going through this stuff because, like, they're like, oh, if I would have paid attention more, if I would have done this, if I would have known this, if I known that. And it's like, the reality of the situation is we can only do the best we can, not only as humans, but as parents, as people. And so, like, the fact that this shit is being out there and is not regulated essentially is really frustrating because we already have so much that we're trying to do. And it's like, I can't believe that they're marketing this shit to children and that this character is based for children. And it's just really, it just makes me very frustrated.
Papa Cotton, I definitely do not disagree with that statement. Janie Davis, I'm kind of confused on this comment.
Yeah, I was reading that earlier and I was confused as well.
I did a whole video on Trisha Paytas. I got to say, on the grand scheme of things, and this is a one-up for Trisha, she's never marketed what she does to kids or a younger audience that I'm aware of. And I followed Trisha and her stupid shenanigans because sometimes I like my drama for years. Everything kind of scandal she's been involved with has had nothing to do with a young audience. Why it's bad what Colleen did because she sent her nudes to a 14-year-old without her knowledge to make it worse while she was at Colleen's house and they were mocking her. So picture her inviting your friend over, and they got pictures and stuff. Looks like a Christmas setting or whatever, and you invite your friend over, but you're mocking them and sending their nudes, which is behind a paywall, by the way, which
Yep.
means an adult had to access it, and it's sent to a 14-year-old. These are not the same. I said it before and I'll say it again. I think she's totally a victim in this situation, and without knowing is the worst thing about it, because Trisha does deserve a bit of karma, but not like that. No person deserves that kind of shaming. I think it's disgusting, and it was wrong. So, and the fact that she gave a better apology is kind of sad. And Adam did a review of this video. Go check out his channel and watch his reaction to her statement. He even says when she gets to apologizing that she doesn't owe him an apology, and she shouldn't be apologizing for that because she didn't do anything wrong. It was Colleen who sent those things. I mean, it's time stamped with her name. Like,
Yeah.
celebrities, stop doing this shit. Like, do you not know how technology works? I'm not trying to help any of these douchebags out, but seriously, when you
Don't
send
even say it.
something,
Don't even say it.
like, I thought this was just common knowledge. Everything's up there. Times, dates, pictures, when they were sent, who they were sent to. Like, it's the most damning evidence you can have. Let's get to it. Like, this.
He offers, ha ha ha, what a joke. No, but really do it. Just kidding. I kind of hate it. She makes the exact same joke at the end of the book too, and it's not funny then either. Now that you read my book, you're probably better at everything now. If you're not, you should get another copy of my book so you can read it again. Also, I'm sure you know some horrible person that needs this book. You should get one for them as a present or tell them that they should buy it for themselves. That way we can change the world together. Like, I know it's a joke, but also it's not, is it? You are telling young impressionable kids, oh, keep buying my merch, buy it for everyone else, ask for another copy, ask for that. Like, I've seen how impressionable kids are and stuff, and how they all feel this need to like collect things that their favorite YouTubers and influencers and creators put out and stuff, and it feels like jokes like this are taking advantage of that. Bothers me a little bit. Okay, let's start with some
Okay, I get it now. Thank you,
There
Jimmy.
are some good things about this book. For example, I like the coloured page backgrounds. And I do think a couple of pages are actually kind of cute and funny and child appropriate, and they kind of capture the essence of Miranda's character without actually managing to be offensive, but these are in the minority. So for example, there's these few pages where you have like this cute mix and match drawings of like Miranda in different silly outfits, and you have to like cut up the pages and mix and match the outfits and stuff. It's silly but fun, but kid appropriate, and I really support this. I think this is a great idea. I like this page. There's another one where she has this section in the book about making money, and in that she's like, oh, the way to make money is to just make money. And then she has this thing about like drawing your own money, and then she has these like drawings of money that she's done herself with her face on it, and it's like, you know, the United States of Miranda and that sort of thing, and you can like cut them out and use it as, like, again, funny, silly, captures the essence of Miranda, but totally kid appropriate. I quite like this. I think it's funny, silly, good for kids. And then you have some other little pages like this, which is like a hidden pictures, like find the hidden money, just like in real life. And that's like one of those things where you're like, you know, as an adult, you can read that's funny. Getting money is hard. But as a kid, you can see it and be like, ha ha ha, find the picture. Like, that is a joke that I think works on both levels for adults and kids, while still being completely appropriate. And also it's a fun activity for the kids. It's a silly picture. It's
bam, it's on my phone.
God
bam, it's on my PC.
damn it.
Bam, Google Play Games. Bam, bam, bam.
Okay, so whilst we're in a
I can do it
commercial,
all day.
yeah, I agree with that, and that's the confusing part about this, is that there's,
She buries it.
yeah, she
The
buries
new
it.
Motorola Razr Plus.
It's really weird,
Which is intentional.
It's all good. Again, I have no
and that's the thing, because it's like the confusing part is when you have stuff like this, hidden within your stuff. Even if you're gonna go for the kind of content that she goes for, I would think you would want to front load it with this kind of stuff,
Hmm.
and then like in the back have more of the inappropriate, offensive stuff.
Hmm.
Not saying that it's right, but I'm just saying the structure is weird to me, right? Because when you're structuring a book, and we've talked about this, which goes to our writing portion of what we do here in Tongue in Cheek. Uh, I would think you would want to kind of mix and match up these kinds of different things, just from a purely marketing and how your book flows. Also, the structure is very weird, much like how she does her comedy. It's very like all over the place,
Yeah.
And that works in a physical media, in a visual media. Doesn't work in a written format, because when you write beginning, middle, end, people, that part drives me nuts. It's like,
Yeah.
beginning, middle, end, story structure. We've talked about this before when we talk about things that people write or the way shows are. There has to be a structure.
Hmm.
That alone, just from a writing perspective, drives me nuts. It's just like, keep in mind too, these books are like 200 pages, so this is pages upon pages of just
You know, and
no
my
problems with
issue.
this.
Oh, I was just gonna say, my issue with this is it'd be one thing if she was trying to come up with like a actual type of like chicken soup for the soul type book where she's trying to help people learn and grow about themselves and their bodies and stuff like that. But like this is just so predatory, especially the fact that she buries all the inappropriate shit in the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
it'd be one thing if she was just like, okay, so as you like, if you're going to market it to like 12-year-olds for whatever, and you're like, okay, so your body's changing, you're doing these things and this, that, and the other, but like writing it in a way that is not fucking disgusting so that you can help these people, that'd be one thing. But like this is just gross and creepy.
Yeah, gross and creepy. And I think that title fits it perfect.
Mhm.
Is creepy. Colleen Ballinger's children's book is creepy and gross. Yeah, that's the feeling you get. It's very creepy. It's very weird. I don't.
At all. And then she has a whole section on social media where she says she can't say the names of actual social media for like legal reasons, so she changes them all to like Instagram, Blazebook, Lumbler instead of Tumblr and stuff like this. And on this one for Tumblr, she's just like, I'm not even kidding, I don't get it at all. And I was like, yeah, like me with this book. That was funny. Again, not a huge amount of content here, which is why I'm like, it's quite low effort, but yeah, it's fine. This one gave me a giggle. All good. The next section I want to look at, I only have one page to talk about here.
Nice
I
product
titled
placement
this
there.
part The Wrong Audience. This is a page which has a joke about pyramid schemes and multi-level marketing. Now, if you've seen any of my videos before, I'm very, very critical of multi-level marketing and all the problems with it. I'm very interested in that area of business and scams and kind of debunking that stuff. On this page, we have a bit where, like Miranda says, my uncle knows a lot about investing, so he wrote this. So there you go. And then basically it's him selling a multi-level marketing scheme, a pyramid scheme, like blah, blah, you get recruits who say, like, this is funny. I mean, it's not very original, but it gave me a giggle. Like, it really, really did. It's like, reminding me of the scene from The Office, with the pyramid base, like, what shape is it? I think it's The Office, right?
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not even a scheme per se.
I love that episode.
Me too.
I have to go make a call.
But yeah, I thought this was really funny. The only thing is, I don't know if kids are
Oh,
gonna
hey,
get
GP.
it. Is
Good to
this
see you.
funny to the wrong audience? Like, I don't want to underestimate kids too much, but I worry that for most kids, this is going to go straight over their head. Like, I was quite a smart kid, and even I didn't know what MLMs were, or the dangers of them, or pyramid schemes or anything like that. I didn't know about them until I was like, what, 16 years old? So I feel like for her younger audience, is this just going to go over their head? Are they going to understand this joke? I don't know. But overall, not the worst part of the book. If my complaints were only, oh, this might be too advanced for the kids, life would be so much better, wouldn't it? But no, it gets worse. This section I call just gross. And these are the parts of the book which are just gross, and they don't need to be in here. They're not funny, they're just gross. Here she has a page on wiping. Save the earth by trapping the poo. What has my YouTube channel come to? This is a page all about how to wipe your bum after you've been to the toilet, and it contains diagrams of poo being folded into tissue. It also has warnings such as when the toilet paper rips and your fingers poke through, and when there's blood, and so on.
Why? Just why?
Okay, so here's my thing. To be fair, not the first person in the world to make poop jokes, especially in kid content. I've seen it on Nickelodeon. They're a terrible outliner, but you know what I mean. I've seen other people make it, but that demographic is typically shows and things geared towards, and I can't say this enough, an older audience. And like, yes, kids like poop jokes too. I'm sure when we were all kids, we were like, haha, I pooped. Like, I get it, but once again, it's the delivery and the fact that she always seems to come back to this thing with blood and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
Why?
gross. And why? Yeah, exactly. Why?
You know, and this is what I mean. Like, where it'd be one thing if she was trying to actually help people learn about their body and taking it from a psychology point and all this stuff, because I've read the poop books that you help with your you read with your toddler so that they poop on the toilet, but that's not what that is.
GP has a very funny joke here, actually. She said, we knew her content was shit. LOL jokes. That was good.
Like,
Janie Davis, fetish. Yes. Janie, I have to agree. At this point, it's very fetishized, but marketed. Her fetish is marketed, which makes it even creepier. Because I don't think we can say this enough. Once again, and I don't care what she says, because this is where you fell, lady. It's being demographic towards kids. You are taking your fetishes to children and now encouraging those onto a new, younger, impressionable audience. And I think this is the problem. This is exactly the issue we are talking about here. This is all geared and marketed towards kids. And in the second book, we'll get into some wild shit there, but there is literally pictures she takes with very young kids, and that's the point. It's even when she's doing pictures on her tours and stuff, there is clearly a very young audience, and that is my issue with this whole thing. Okay.
Exactly, Cotton. Exactly. And that's a big problem for multiple reasons.
Yeah, sounds like you're trying to normalize blood in children's stores. Yeah, it's a deep problem on a philosophical and psychological level. And it blows my mind that this is all coming out, and for years no one was aware. Like, I'm actually very much stunned. This is how many years later we're getting to this. Like, that blows my mind. How many crowds, how many kids, how many shows has this woman have? She has fucking like 10 million subscribers. They were doing all of her counts. 10 million. Her Colleen Ballinger account has like 8 million followers. Like, you're talking about millions, and then we're not counting the interviews she's done on Fallon. So now that's parents and people you're reaching. The interview with fucking Jerry Seinfeld with his coffee thing, had coffee with her Miranda character. Like, this is a far-reaching influencer, and that should fucking scare people. It really should.
Yeah.
because it's normalizing, inappropriate adult behavior on a mass level. And that's why I've taken such a personal note of this.
Because when you go, how can I say this so it's YouTube friendly? When you go into, so the whole thing, like when you go into, what if there's physical harm done to some of these children and it normalizes that situation, you know what I mean, like where the blood in the stool thing, you know what I mean, like it's so scary to me because I'm looking at the other end of the spectrum of not just the psychological issues but opening the door for these kids to be involved with people that actually are going to physically harm them in some way, if you catch my drift, to and that's my issue. Like, yeah, you can say it's all jokes and stuff, but with the jokes your brain doesn't know it's a joke. So psychologically speaking, when you are saying these things and you're exposed to all of these things, your brain starts to think that these behaviors are acceptable. And even though you're like, oh, yeah, I know it's a joke, subconsciously, your brain does not know it's a joke. That's why positive psychology is so important. So, like, when you're talking negatively about yourself, your brain doesn't know, even if you're doing it in a self deprecating way, your brain doesn't realize that you are joking. And so you start to believe that you're exposing yourself to all of these negative thoughts and these negative opinions about yourself, and it will come up later in life as from a psychological standpoint. And it's just, there's just so much harm being done here. It's that's why people always say, like, manifest positivity and say nice things about yourself, because your brain is going to latch on to whatever you tell it, whatever you consume. So it's
And here's a name I haven't heard in a while. He said, "Damn, I thought Lily Singh was bad." Yeah, she basically said to Lily Singh, "Hold my beer."
yeah, I don't know who that is, but it must be bad.
Oh yeah, she's quite a character within herself. But with all the shit she's pulled, I can honestly say this by far trumps 90% of the controversies she's had. So, yeah, this is Papa, this is pretty bad. And see, this is why I'm going at this subject so hard. Because, like I said, we're both parents and we're seeing the other end of it. And you can say, oh, well, you guys are being those squares, right? Like, look, I let my fucking kid watch R-rated movies and horror movies and stuff like that. I'm not a prude. I'm very blunt with my daughter if she has questions about things because I want her to get the truth of situations so she can make an informed opinion. Am I too blunt? Maybe. But that's how my mom raised me with, if I have a question till this day, my mom will give me the unfiltered truth and lay it
Agreed.
out there. And it's helped me to make informed decisions. And that to me is different than exposing people to stuff that they don't need to be honestly exposed to, that doesn't benefit them in any way. And it's kind of encouraging bad behavior, thoughts, whatever.
Yeah, I agree, Janie. I agree. And you can see it in her content. And that's why I have so many issues with it, because from a psychological standpoint, yeah, the shit is gross and yeah, it's unacceptable. But you can see there's definitely a bigger root cause issue as to why her content is the way it is.
So there's definitely something in her personal life. No one talks like this unless I don't want to assume anything or throw anything out there that's not true. But from a psychological standpoint, I feel like there's some kind of deep-rooted issue within herself, or something messed up happened to her because nobody puts out these ideas unless it was normalized to them. That's just my feel. Like, I don't know her parents, I don't know her history, but the whole uncle thing and everything,
it's weird.
I'm just saying, a psychologist would be like, you have some things you need to work out.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Like, toilet humor, like, kids can be into that stuff. They think that's funny. But I think this page misses the funny mark and just goes straight to disgusting and what was she thinking? Who makes something like this and thinks, yeah, I'm totally proud of this. Let me just put it out into the world and sell it to people. Then she has a whole section on puberty, which is disgustingly designed. It contains close-up photos of Colleen/Miranda's crotch. That's fun. If you're under age 21, please skip the next 3 pages. They are inappropriate for you. I know it's a joke because like blah blah blah, like ha ha ha, like kids reach puberty before then and I don't know. She says, puberty is a time where you get hairs and smells. You might experience getting chesticle lumps. Cover these. Also, you might leak things. It will ruin your panties. Is this appropriate for kids? Is it? I get it, Normalize talking to kids about puberty so they know what to expect, what's coming up, what's happening to their bodies, what's happening to the people around them, their brothers and sisters and so on. Normalize it so there's no shame, no stigma, none of that. That's not what this is doing. This is just turning puberty into a, ew, it's dirty and gross, let's make some jokes about it and make people feel uncomfortable about it and make, inappropriate jokes about your vagina leaking to children. On this page called...
So, yeah. So, do you got any thoughts on this? Like, look, okay, I have a daughter, but when there was a talk about that, my mom had to do that talk because I'm a dude. I am not qualified to say anything on that, and I thought it was more appropriate because my mom, yeah, she's gone through that. She can give my daughter a talk better. But like she said, there's a difference between... And this goes back to a lot of comedians who do these kind of jokes, but keep in mind their audience is adult, right? I've never find vagina humor and things like that from female comedians funny, and quite honestly, I thought it kind of like degrades women in general, and that's adult comedians, right? So I've never been with that humor, but once again, this is marketed for kids, despite what she says. It's published for kids. So when you're broaching topics like this, it's not a time to make a joke. Like, you can sneak a funny simile in there or something like that to kind of lighten the mood and make the kids feel comfortable. But it's a very fine line that you're walking, and you've got to be extremely careful with how you present the information. You've got to be informative and yet kind of ease them into it at the same time. There's a lot of books that have talked about this stuff, right? Or that have made stories based around this where it's colorful and bright and there's a message in there, but it's done in a way where they're talking to kids, informing them, but at the same time, they're broaching a subject that maybe kids need to know about, right? Puberty, it's a big thing, especially women. Womanhood, important. This takes what's supposed to be important with women and their bodies changing and mocks it and makes a mockery and a joke of it. And I'm a dude and I can see that. So as a woman, what's your opinion on this? Because
I think it's, first of all, it's degrading the way that because it's a big deal. Because the other thing you got to consider is when you have girls who have issues with puberty, like, irregular, heavy, all the things that people don't want to hear about on this channel. But like, you know what I mean? It's like, the other thing you have to consider is, what have the parents already told the kids and how did they approach the situation? Because that this portion of the book could completely undo that entire progress that they would have made with those parents going through and learning about their body in a correct, constructive, like, informational way. And and that's the biggest thing, is not that I think that the parents need to have rule all, but like, when you're trying to put something like this in a book, you have to be, like you said, very careful with how you approach it, because some kids could take this book and then all of a sudden start feeling self-conscious about it because she made it a mockery. She made it sound like it was not okay.
dirty.
Completely, yeah, like, and it's completely natural. And that's the biggest thing, is that the kids need to know, like, it's completely natural. Like I said earlier, it'd be one thing if she was actually trying to create a book with good quality informational content to help women specifically go through this process and learn how to deal with it. Like,
and the biggest thing that pisses me off about this is comedians and stuff, they have that kind of thing. And to Colleen's credit, she even with her marketing and stuff, there's some kind of intelligence there. Like, look, like her or hate her, you have to have some kind of intelligence and things and good stuff to be able to get as far as she has. But it's using what she knows. Like, I'm going to relate this to Star Wars. Shout out to you, PB. It's like the Emperor teaching kids the power of the dark side. It's taking your knowledge and weaponizing it instead of using that where you're a comedian and you can be funny. Because, like we said in the beginning, some of the jokes she had were not only adult but funny, and they weren't inappropriate. They would go over a kid's head, but we chuckled at like that pyramid scheme thing, right? Like, so she has that creativity and the ability to actually tell a funny joke.
That's
Confirmed.
why I'm so mad that she put this garbage out.
Like, so you can tell jokes even in her live shows and stuff. You can identify, and you have an ability, and it's a gift, and it's what I did when I taught. I was able to identify with younger kids because I've had stuff in my life that happened that kind of robbed me of my childhood, and I identify with them and connect with them because I kind of know what it's like, right? When you use that gift that you have, and I call it a gift, and you use it to manipulate them, and that's what she's doing. It's not trying to help them, but it's using it to manipulate them to make yourself more money. It's just so many levels of how bad it is. Even if nothing comes out that she actually did anything, she still did, and it's on a psychological and emotional level, and that's just as bad as a physical thing. Like, when people hear these grooming things and stuff, you automatically jump to something done to kids. Well, no, it's the psychological and emotional toll, which would be just as heavy as anything physical you can do, because kids' brains are still developing, and you are ingraining this stuff into their mind, and that is dangerous. It's very dangerous.
It is. And yeah.
So,
Monthly lady time. Colleen / Miranda writes, as a girl, you sometimes get leaky after puberty, and you have to clean it. Or you could get an infection or ruin panties. This is so impossible to read, for God's sake. You can make a diaper with toilet paper. Please don't do that. Or use a pad. Do not use tampons. They are for sinners. That is an exit-only place. Now, again, I know this book is satire.
How can you sleep in
God
such a
damn
formal
it.
setting?
Mine's almost the same as yours.
Almost.
Okay, I really gotta invest in.
So I feel like making jokes about tampons being for sinners to an adult or an older teen, that's funny, right? Because, like, especially if they're growing up in purity culture and you're poking fun at that and poking fun at, like, you know, fundies or overprotected people who think tampons are bad or dangerous or anything like that. Like, yeah, it's funny to make a joke about that. But again, I don't think kids are going to get that. I don't think 10, 11-year-olds are going to understand why that's funny, why she's making that joke. I think you risk these kind of messages actually being internalized. It just, again, feels gross and doesn't feel appropriate for the audience. And then
And that's the thing, too. And we'll get to this because she plays an actual clip of her putting this into the book. But, and that's the other thing. Like, see, that could be a funny joke. But once again, as we've said several times in this review, it's about the audience you market it. Like, if you were doing older teenage girls, then yeah, who've gone through this and stuff, then yeah, that would be funny because, and it would be relevant, right? Because there is a stigma on that stuff. I hear it from Bitchy. Like, so yeah, there's a conversation to be had about that. But once again, look at the market. That's not who this is being marketed for. So now that takes what could have been a decent message, a kind of funny joke at the same time, which comedians do, right? They make inappropriate jokes to talk about a heavy subject. Chris Rock has done it. Tons of different comedians. Yeah, but to adults or to an older audience. I had Erica, shit. You know what I'm saying? I had a Bitchy watch a Dennis Leary special, and she was like, that man, she was like, holy shit, he says this. I was like, yeah, but once again, it is an adult crowd. It's a special called No Cure for Cancer, and he's smoking and drinking. That's the whole joke, because you can't drink and smoke anywhere. He's smoking and drinking throughout the whole thing, and he's talking about the way society is and stuff. It was in the 90s, and even that would get you canceled now. And that's adults talking to adults.
Yeah.
So once again, this is writing that fine line.
Yeah.
And it's not the audience you can write a line with. If this was like 16, 17, 18, that kind of older teen demographic who's already had these talks, gone through health class,
Yep.
and then you can kind of, then we'd be having a different conversation. Like, well, you know, once again,
and that's the thing too, because it comes right back to, now you're taking the choice away from these kids. What if someone would rather use a tampon because it's easier when you're working out, or when you're changing, or where you want to wear certain clothes, which, you know, men might not know about, and, you know, now you've taken their choice away and made it seem like they can't make their own decision and use a tampon if they want. Like,
and see, here's the thing. That I think the conversation changes when it's teens, and see, we'd be having a different back and forth about this. But once again, I can't argue, because this isn't for teenagers she's marketing. Now we're talking kids, and you're getting into that realm. Yeah, like 100%. They don't even know what they need to use. So once again, the joke or the message gets lost and comes across as more gross, because of the fact that now it's not marketed that way. And this here, like, why?
And the next page is just a photograph of a pad and a tampon with the labels use and don't use, sinner. Again, it feels like low effort content. It's a little gross. I don't really know why you'd want to see this in a kid's book. Who approved this? Did she have editors? If so, where were they and what were they doing, and how many drugs were they taking when they approved this?
There's a page on Monthly Lady Time. Christopher and I got in fights about this page. I really wanted a page that had a tampon taped to it. I just thought it would be funny, and it was just something I had in my head of like a page that had no information on it, just tampon taped to it and a pad slapped in. I thought it would be really funny, so I kept fighting for this, and Christopher's like, no, we're not. You can't put a tampon in the book. You can't put a pad in the book. And finally, I was like, I'm doing it, and I did it.
Next, she has a page on life hacks.
So the reason why I'm glad we got to that clip, like, so much is explained, like, so clearly the editor, whoever it was probably going through this, drinking so much, whatever their drink of choice is, because like, just by, and like, no self-awareness, like that clip, like, just no self-awareness of why someone is advising you not to put something into your book, like,
including how to get pee out of panties. Apparently, wear it till they dry and pee on the rest of it. And then there's some other stuff. Again, it's just kind of gross, isn't it? And I have to ask, who is this for? What's the joke here? What's funny? If your audience are young enough to still wet themselves and, you know, find this relatable, then you shouldn't be putting the other stuff in the book. If your audience is older, then why are they peeing themselves? I don't get it.
Psychological issues due to
Like
trauma.
different points when I was making this video, I was like,
what's that?
Psychological issues due to trauma.
Yeah, like,
that's why people pee their pants when they get older.
But once again, though, even if that's the joke and that's the case, which you shouldn't be joking about that, because then now we're making fun of psychological issues. But that aside, okay, say that is what you're going for, or trying to make them feel better, whatever the fuck goes through her mind, who knows? Like she said, then it's confusing, because who are you marketing it for? And I think she's got a good point. Like, who is this for? Because it's not for kids. It's barely for teenagers, and adults are not going to understand who the fuck a Miranda Sings is, or what her persona is. So once again, and I've seen this in entertainment, right, with that fucking terrible Lord of the Rings show. Who is it marketed for? Who is it? Yes, I know I've gone on rants for this, but goddamn, Amazon, the worst fucking show. Okay, I'm not going to get into that, but my point
It's a different story.
remains. But the point remains, right? The thing they have in common is, who is your market, right? Because if it's not for the people you supposedly marketing for, and on the other end, people who don't know you are not going to get the joke because they don't know your character,
Yeah.
then that leaves me to believe that you did have an intended audience and that it's just gross and inappropriate.
I mean, like, and it also feels really fetishy too.
Yeah, it's like putting your own fetishes into something, and it's not necessarily designed for anybody. It's just you venting. I don't know what the best word is. You get what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
just you putting it down on.
Anyway, let's continue.
Am I just too old to understand the humor? Am I just like
No,
not
we don't
cool
get it
enough and
either.
not down with the kids and like all that sort of thing? And then I realized that like actually I'm only a couple of months older than Colleen was when she was writing this book. She was 29 turning 30. I'm 30 now. So we're the same age. Yet I don't find this funny. I don't understand who the audience is. I don't see how this appeals to children or teenagers or adults. And I don't think it's appropriate to be putting some of this stuff out for kids. And then she has a page on pink eye and how to get rid of pink eye with some really, really bad advice. Obviously, the humor is meant to be, oh, this is bad advice, don't actually do this, with things like rub on peanut butter and squeeze lemon in it. Of course they're not going to work. Ha ha, how funny. I don't know, just the fact that this whole page exists is just... Why? Now, the next section I've just called the inappropriate, because I didn't really know what to call this. And this is kind of a miscellaneous section where other things that didn't really have another section I just kind of put in here. These are things that, again, I can kind of understand a little bit of where the humor might be, what the jokes are supposed to be, what they're taking the mick out of, what they're parodying and satirizing and stuff like that. I kind of can see that. I just don't think those jokes and that humor is appropriate for the child audience of this book. So for example, this page is called Get a Boyfriend Kit, and it includes things like, perfume.
Oh my
like
god, I didn't
everyone
even
has,
get
but
to this.
also stalking materials like binoculars, handcuffs, camera with night vision, and rubber gloves. I get it. The joke is she's crazy and stalking boys because they don't actually want her and blah, blah, blah. And she's probably going to kidnap a boy and that's how you get a boyfriend. Yeah, okay, I get the joke. I think that's fine. There was an attempt there, even if you didn't pull it off. But again, a kid's going to find this funny? Are they going to get it? Is this not an inappropriate joke for them? I don't understand. Same with the next page. It's called...
So, I just want to unpack that for a second. I watch crime dramas and stuff, so now you're encouraging kids to get... Did you see the shit in there? Handcuffs, the cat rash suit, the lead pipe, like...
Yeah. Because these are children that are going to be... Okay, so all I can think about as we're going through this is back to Adam McIntyre's words, where he said, my idol, who I loved more than anybody in this entire world. My idol, who I loved more than anything in this entire world. So many of her fans have this glorified pedestal image of her, and they're young and they're not going to know that this is not it.
And like this part, I don't necessarily think is that offensive, but at the same time, and like the subtext and stuff. So once again, and this is an example, like there's one funny thing that kind of works on a meta level, whatever, buried in all of this, like really bad, horrendous, not even jokes at this point, just kind of weird shit. But yeah,
get a girlfriend kit. And it just says, have money. Again, I see what the joke is here. She's satirizing all those like douchebag alpha males and like toxic men who are like, women only want money.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I get that. That's what the joke is.
Right.
But again, are kids going to have that context to understand that this is a joke and find it funny? Or are you just using humor to maybe unconsciously or subconsciously reinforce outdated, harmful gender stereotypes about women being gold diggers or property or only interested in money or that they can be bought and sold. She continues this like, ha ha ha, I'm a crazy woman and the only way I can get a man is by being controlling and criminal. On this next page, which is levels of a relationship: stranger, mine, bae, husband, servant, prisoner, widow. Again,
So, folks, see, like, I get the joke here, but once again, there's a level of too far, and this is my issue here. The joke would have been funny, but then it's like, I oh my god, it's still early for me. I don't even know really what to say about this. Yeah, this is. We'll continue.
I understand what the joke was meant to be. I just don't think it's well executed. And again, is this appropriate for a child audience? Like, as an adult reading this, there isn't enough levels to this humor. It's not developed enough for me to appreciate the joke and actually find it funny and, you know, like, for it to be entertaining. But for a kid, I feel like you need this kind of like background information and knowledge of the world and certain ideologies to be able to understand the humor in this. And even then, the kind of punchline to it all is something which is maybe inappropriate for kids to be.
90% of signs of aging are caused by the sun. La Roche-Posay
Oh wow,
Ampoule
never knew
sunscreen
that.
visibly reduces the
90%
appearance
of
of sun
aging
damage.
is caused by the sun. Thank you.
Be thinking
Very
about.
informative.
So, who is the audience here? Who does this appeal to? Does this appeal to anyone? I don't know. She then has a page on first date etiquette. Took me a long time to figure out that this was meant to say etiquette. I felt very dumb. 3 ways to play hard to get. It's good to act uninterested in your first date to leave him wanting more. I can't help but feel like jokes like this are harmful because they do feed into rape culture and this idea that no means yes, no means try harder, no means keep pushing. And even if it's a joke, I think that's a really bad message to be sending to kids. The next bit is saying that, like, on a date, you have to basically abuse your date, physically punch them, hit them, spit near them, pull a hair, verbally tell them they're ugly, emotionally act uninterested and bored to hurt their feelings. And I know it's satire, so it's like, oh, okay, well, she doesn't actually mean this stuff, she means the opposite. She's writing down the opposite of what you should do. But also, I don't find domestic violence and intimate partner abuse funny. So where's the joke? And
So, for anybody who has followed the stuff we've done with JD and things like that, this is the type of shit that creates situations in adults where, with this idea of people co-signing that, oh yeah, being in physically abusive relationships is okay. Like, when I was growing up, the whole thing of like, you know, if a girl punches you or something like that, that means she likes you. Like, look, I get the view on that, but it's not okay. And the way this is worded, the way that that's being presented to me is, it's honestly setting up people for more situations of accepting and being okay with abuse. Folks, I don't even know what to say on how bad that is. It's encouraging people to be in an abusive relationship or accept an emotionally and abusive relationship. And keep in mind, and I've said this a million times in this stream, this is marketed towards kids. So you are creating people who will think that when someone abuses them, it's a perfectly natural and normal thing. And this is why, you have little boys who can read this that think that treating women this way is okay. And you have little girls who could read something like this and perceive that it is okay for a guy to treat them like shit. Keep in mind, this is a grown-ass woman writing this. I don't even know how to put into words how bad that kind of messaging is. And you guys have been on my channel now for a while, and I don't jump into the whole, oh, any view is blah, 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 and the Hollywood, and when they put out these kinds of views, and it's all fake bullshit. But even myself, that kind of thinking is very dangerous. That allows the Amber Heards of the world, or the genuinely terrible people who commit abuse, to thrive, because you are creating more people who will accept physical, emotional, and mental abuse and think that it is okay at a young age. And this is what I'm saying about this person. It's very terrible. Yeah, you missed some good stuff here. So
Sorry.
I want to go back here a little bit and show you some stuff here. So this is what you missed while you were gone. And one of it deals with what we dealt with Johnny Depp. And it's going to blow your mind
Here we go.
what she put in this.
Stereotypes about
As if it
women
couldn't
being
get worse.
gold diggers or property or
Okay, so
only interested in money
after
or
this,
that they can be
there's
bought
two
and
pieces
sold.
here that's
She
just
continues
amazing.
this like, ha ha ha, I'm a crazy woman and the only way I can get a man is by being controlling and criminal. On this next page, which is levels of a
Levels of
relationship.
relationship.
Stranger, mine,
Oh, no.
they, husband, servant, prisoner, widow.
Hey, that's
Again,
the AH handbook.
Joke was meant to be. I just don't think it's well executed. And again, is this appropriate for a child audience? Like,
I agree.
as an adult,
The next,
there isn't enough levels of this humor. It's not developed enough for me to appreciate the joke.
now the
and
next
actually
one
find
is
it
going to blow
funny
your
and,
mind, because I just gave my spiel, but I
freaky
want to think your
entertaining.
thoughts
But
as
for a
soon as you hear
kid,
this.
I feel
It's
like
fucking
you
wild.
need this kind of like background information and knowledge of the world and
So
certain
that one was
ideologies to
bad,
be able to
and I talked
understand the
about
humor
that.
in
But
this.
this next
And
one
even
blew my
then,
fucking
the
mind.
kind of
I can't.
punchline to it all is something which is maybe inappropriate for kids to be thinking about. So who is the audience here? Who does this appeal to? Does this appeal to anyone? I don't know. She then has a page on first date etiquette. Took me a long time to figure out that this was meant to say etiquette. I felt very dumb. 3 ways to play hard to get. It's good to act uninterested in your first date to leave him wanting more. I can't help but feel
it gets
like
worse.
jokes like this are harmful because they do feed into rape culture and this idea that no means yes, no means try harder, no means keep pushing. And even if it's a joke, I think that's a really bad message to be sending to kids. The next bit is saying that, like, on a date, you have to basically abuse your date, physically punch them, hit them, spit near them, pull a hair, verbally tell them they're ugly, emotionally act uninterested and bored to hurt their feelings. And I know it's satire, so it's like, oh, okay, well, she doesn't actually mean this stuff, she means the opposite. She's writing down the opposite of what you should do. But also, I don't find domestic violence and intimate partner abuse funny, so where's the joke? In the Get Money section, she makes jokes about how you get rich by get a rich.
But so before we go on to that, because I had to stop it there because you were busy. This is the shit we talked about with JD and Amber Heard, right? And she is a 30-year-old woman. So for guys, okay, and I broke this up into 2 things, and I think we could agree. For guys, it's encouraging them to treat women like shit. For women, it's creating victims without even really knowing at a young age. Like, it's okay if you do this. It's okay if this is done to you. We ran counter to this during JD and Amber Heard. It blows my mind that this was out there. Like, this person was running counter to what we were talking about, all of that, and this is like,
And
this is like Amber Heard 2.0.
It's the same time frame. It's the same time frame too, because this book came out in 2015. All of that stuff was in 2016 with JD and AH.
Like, she is creating people who, on the lady side will think it's okay to be a victim of domestic violence, and on the guy side will think it's okay for them to treat their partner that way, or conversely, to think it's okay for women to treat their partner like shit.
You know,
There's so much to unpack.
yeah. You know, I feel like the longer this book goes on, the less satire it feels.
It's like getting more and more kind of mean. These aren't jokes. This is very mean. It's very vicious, and uh, there's certain comedians, even now newer comedians, where it's not jokes. It feels like they're being vicious with, and I think that's what people confused with comedy. There is pointed and funny satire. Ricky Gervais, a lot of these other people who take shots, but it's humorous. Like, yes, there's a certain like bite to it, but it's still relatable and funny. And then there's people like Amy Schumer, Sarah Silverman, or all these other people who tell a joke that's just fucking mean and meant to be direct and mean. There's no humor. It's just it doesn't even really feel like a punchline. It feels like a statement. And that's what this comes across to me as. This isn't like subtle humor, creating a dialogue. This is very mean-spirited, nasty-ass humor.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And it's not even humor. Like, and that's the thing, is it's legitimately telling it's breeding victims for later generations and making them subdued in an infantile, however you say that word, that makes them easy to take advantage of. And she's starting this shit young. Literally, like I said, this creator that we're watching keeps saying, I know it's supposed to be satire, but it does not feel like it's supposed to be satire. This is legitimate fucking brainwashing is what's happening. This is legitimate fucking brainwash framed as comedy, and it's dangerous, predatory, and unacceptable.
Facts.
They make sure he is also famous, and then has a picture of her stealing a guy's wallet while she hugs him, and ask mum. If she says no, find her purse and take it anyway.
So now we're encouraging
stealing and gold digging. And again, I know they're jokes, but it just feels like it's perpetuating really, really harmful stereotypes about women, and also honestly encouraging poor behavior in kids and teens. I don't know. This next page was weird. I didn't know where to put this. This was the opening of a chapter/section on social media. Basically, it's just screenshots of some of Miranda Sings' social media posts. That's it. That's the page. Some of it's really weird. Like a Facebook post just says hi, or a post about like a photo of sausages, and I think that's meant to be like a kind of sexual joke. Next to a picture of me and my number one fan after my show, and it's her posing next to a sleeping kid. I do hope this is a child she knows and not actually like a random fan's kid, because that would be super creepy to include that in this book. And even if it is a kid she knows and she got kind of permission from the parents or whatever, I'm not sure I find it really appropriate to include pictures of kids like this in the book. And as the book goes on, there's actually quite a few kids featured in this, young kids, like under 6 years old, I'd say. This one is literally a baby. I don't know. The kids can't consent. It's a bit weird to have them, especially next to, like on this page, next to a sausage joke. On other pages, you have like sexual jokes surrounding them. Later on in the book, we'll see she has a kid on a leash, like literally round his neck. It all feels inappropriate and
brainwashing. It's not.
Okay, a kid on. I'd also like to highlight too, at a live show, she had a young boy, and I say boy, not teenager, not man, a young boy do a prostitute skit. So, and the fact that there were parents in the audience and nobody found this weird really scares the shit out of me.
Or they found it weird but didn't say anything. And that's the biggest thing in this society, is people get uncomfortable but nobody wants to say a fucking word about it.
Ooh, when you see Jay as heated, because normally I'm the one who goes off on rants. This is very fascinating to me. But no, I get it. Sometimes I like to give people a chance to have their rants. But no, I 100% agree. Like, to me, there is no justification in your fucking book to be And parents, okay? All right, now I'm going full screen because this is a PSA from your favorite villain. Parents, if you are out there fucking co-signing this crazy fucking bitch and giving them permission to be next to your kids sleeping, because they're young, they can't give their own consent, which means you as a parent signed off on this. Do me a favor and give your kid up for adoption because you're a terrible parent. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick here, but seriously, if you are going to let someone because they're a star make an implication like that, then you yourself have issues. If you think this is appropriate behavior to expose your young child to, I have zero respect for you. That is fucking horrid and gross because you are telling a 30-year-old, I'm sorry, 29 at this point, okay? You're telling them it is okay to have your young child in a weird and, for us watching this, uncomfortable position and to be marketed to kids as if it is a normalized thing. So you yourself have a lot of fucking things you need to work through. There's no way I can sugarcoat that or say it any more plainly. If you are a parent and you signed off on this, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You should be very ashamed of yourself because you put your kid without them knowing, okay? Because they can't give consent. They can't say this is okay. You let your child with this adult do something inappropriate. Shame on you. Shame on you. That fucking blows my mind. That you guys are out there doing this. You're co-signing this, and then not only co-signing it, but then you defend a woman like this, a woman who's supposed to put on this image or have this image of being kid friendly. Really, you all should be fucking ashamed of yourself. I'm sorry, you really should be. I mean, I don't think I'm wrong when I say that. I think this is, hey, Donut,
Wild Mignon.
how are you doing? Yeah, I just like saying donut. Yeah, like you should be ashamed of yourself for allowing this woman to do this. Like Jay, just do you not feel that these parents should also have some? I don't even want to say charges, but the parent signed off on this because if they're in the book next to their kid, the parent had to have given them permission, like during a show or whatever, whether they knew what the context was.
Right.
Just in general, if someone says, like, can I take a picture next to your sleeping child? Isn't that weird? Doesn't that not strike you as fucking odd why they'd want to do that? Like, or even if it's a kid she knows.
Well, I was going to say it'd be better if it was a kid that she knows. Maybe that's her own kid. Maybe it's her nephew or something. I don't know. It's still weird because, like you said, like they can't give the consent. But at the same time, it's like, why? Just why?
Yeah, like, even if it's someone you know, right? Still, you should look at that, and then if it came out in this book, you should be like, what the fuck? In either sense. In either way, it's... I'm telling you right now, if this was a dude, they'd be fucking crucified. That's all I gotta say. That's what pisses me off a lot about this, too. If this was a guy, they'd be done already.
Yeah, and that's the thing that pisses me off, GP, because absolutely that's exactly what it is. Because people care so much about their image that they're too afraid to stand up for what's right.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. Very good comment there by GP, but yeah, it's also, too, people don't want to get themselves out because of the stern look I just gave them a few seconds ago, but you should have that stern look because you should have common sense because you're the fucking adult. I'm sorry. You are supposed to be the one who has better common sense than this. I don't... It's not an excuse.
awful, and I don't like it. I don't like how she portrays kids in this book. I don't like that she has kids in this book. And I feel like this ties into the criticisms of her and her family channels and stuff like that. So that's something to consider. Other than that, this page just seems incredibly low effort, you know? Like, she couldn't even be bothered to recycle funny or entertaining social media posts. She just picked these. Why? Why choose these posts? It's very boring and weird. Odd. Then she has a section about like children and like I guess how to interact with children and so on and so on. But she
This ought
titled
to
it
be
"How to
interesting.
Do Children." Ha ha ha! So funny from the woman who's been accused of being inappropriate with
What the
children.
fuck does
I
that
really
say?
did dig your own hole and then wonder where it
How
came from.
to
didn't
do
you, Colin?
children.
wanted me to take accountability, but that's not the point of your mob mentality, is it? No. Your goal is to ruin the life of the person you despise.
So much
or
context now.
traumatize your lives
We
and
watch
monetize
this.
their demise.
She has this weird resource on diaper changing. Again, who is the audience for this? It's very odd. She is like, okay, here's an example on a bear, but it's not even using a nappy. It's just using like a towel. Anyway, then the next page
So
has
now
a
we're
picture of
talking
like
about
an actual child
pregnancy.
sleeping in one of these.
So this just gets worse and worse as we go on. I gotta be honest, this section I didn't really have time to watch, so to get my first reactions, like, holy fuck, Jay. There's
Fuck.
so okay. The showing the diaper changing thing, that could be informative, but once again, for teenagers, or say a teenager gets pregnant at a young age, I could see the relevance of like having it, but I felt like we've said this a million times. This is a book marketed towards children who are not thinking about reproduction. Why the fuck is there a section like this? And why in the world of God is there a real baby I'm staring at
Yep.
in this weird ass towel thing?
How much time do you have? How much time do you have before you have to go?
I got an hour possibly and some change. So how much
Okay.
time do you have?
I'm good. I just wanted to make sure because I know you have to.
Oh
pick up
yeah,
at
yeah. I'm good, but yeah. So a lot to unpack here, which is why I said we'd have to do 2 parts of this, because this within itself, boy, wait until we get to the next one. If you thought this was a doozy, oh boy.
I can't even process what is happening right now.
So yeah, we'll just keep on going, but just keep in mind, folks, this is a real child with that
Yeah.
weird design towel that we saw. So you're encouraging people to use towels as diaper.
At least use a cloth diaper, man.
Towel things. I don't get it. Who is this child and why is he in the book? Is this kid going to be okay with this when he grows up? Speaking of inappropriate things with kids, here are some more photos of Colleen / Miranda with kids. And this page is titled Fun Activities, things you can do with your kids. The top one is actually quite funny. Have your kid hide and then do something else while they're distracted. That's funny. That's a good joke because, like, I think probably a lot of people who've had to look after kids or babysit or whatever, like, they're going to find that funny because you're like, yeah, sometimes just some me time. Like, that's a good joke. That's funny. I like that. The others.
The fuck?
Oh, thank you. Perfect commercial. So, yeah, let's just let's just pause this for a second and really analyze these pictures. That bottom one, holy fucking shit, Jay.
I can't see it from where I'm sitting, and I don't want to, but I can only imagine what's happening.
There's a kid on a leash being walked like a dog, and I don't mean a kid as in like 10, 11, 12. I mean like maybe 6 or 7, and there's a picture of her riding a kid like a horse. Folks,
I think
when I am at a loss for words, like when I told you this person for me was like a step below Alec Baldwin because they haven't murdered anybody, they might be worse than Amber Heard. This is what I mean. because what Amber Heard did was terrible, and it was literally domestic violence. But this is children and influencing children. This to me is like on a different level. You are getting into so much the mental. It's almost like breaking down people's or kids' psyche, and it's reinforcing this discuss it like why is this in the book. You started off good with one picture. One picture was I would consider like appropriate, right, and funny, and then you have this. Why is this here?
Yeah.
Why?
Freaking, it's giving BDSM humiliation. You're nothing but trash that I'm gonna abuse, and not human being is what it's giving.
Donna, I have no clue why that's what we are. That's why the series exists. Because Donna, if this was a dude, canceled. They'd have been canceled off the first couple of pages. Never mind, we're getting into some really weird, crazy shit right now.
Playing dress up. You can have them dress as a dog or a homeless. That's offensive. But also, she then has a photo of a kid crawling on hands and knees while she has a rope tied around his neck. Again, who thought this was okay to publish? And then finally, Play Horsey looks fun, right? And it's a photo of her straddling a child. The next section is a shorter one, and I've called this The Stuff That Aged Really, Really, Really Poorly. This first page is one of the earliest ones in the book, and this has qualities to look for in a boyfriend. And they include qualities like attractive, pretty, hairs, rich, this, and famous. I don't actually know who any of these people are except Shane Dawson, who's under famous. But yeah, that aged badly, didn't it? Really badly. Then she has a whole section on how to write love letters to someone you're interested in, a crush or a love interest.
This
or
looks like
whatever.
a serial killer wrote
The
this.
joke here is that you
Yep.
do it by like
Just about to say
cutting
that.
out letters from a magazine, like a ransom note. Okay, that's funny. I can get behind that. That's humorous. I think that could have been a funny joke. That's fine. You know, she could have been like, if your handwriting's bad, you can do this. And you know, the humor is in the naivety of like not realizing it seems threatening, and like that's funny. That's fine. I'm okay with that. The content, not so much. Date me
So
or
see,
else. If you want to see your cat alive again, you will give me a foot rub. Watch out for the warts. They hurt a lot today. One of the running themes in this book, or one of the running jokes, is hurting cats. And I don't like it. Again, I think there are things you can joke about and things you can't. Animal abuse and child abuse are two things you really shouldn't be joking about, because in what context are they funny? But Colleen does it a lot in this, and it really bothers me. This one, I put in the age badly section because what we know about Colleen and what she did as a child, getting her dog put down and then showing absolutely no remorse for it as an adult and just being like, what a...
So I just like to say too, if we're looking at this purely from a like psychological standpoint, that's sociopathic serial killer kind of vibes I'm getting.
Yep.
Because if you guys look into this, and we're gonna get a little psychological here, a lot of serial killers and people who have gone into really bad behavior, it starts with animal abuse and not having any kind of remorse or sympathy towards that. It's the act of harming something that is alive. The power dynamics over that. Yeah, today is Psychology Zod. Yeah, this is very reminiscent of the thing you hear about with serial killers who like the power dynamic of being in control of life, and then you relate this to her content now. It's manipulating people, right? So it's once again that power dynamic of controlling a younger audience and bending them to your will.
Yep.
And yet no one has seen this at all. That fucking blows my mind. Like, do you not get like I know I don't need to ask you this because you probably, but do you not get very strong, almost like fucking serial killer vibes just
Absolutely.
off of that?
Yep.
Like your dog, like man's best friend, right? Your dog gets put down
Because
and
of her.
because
That's
of
the
you,
part.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the part that she didn't say, is because it was because of Colleen that dog got put down, because Colleen was messing with the dog bit her, and she was like, he just bit me for no reason, and then he got fucking put down.
I don't know. Like, I'm very pissed off about the song, but the dog thing really pisses me off.
Mhm.
I'm a huge dog lover. Look, I'm not a fan of cats, but I'd never fucking abuse or make a joke about killing cats.
Yeah.
So, very fucking strange and almost like, if she wasn't famous, she'd be fucking murdering people. just throwing
Yeah.
it out there.
Mhm.
Very.
Funny story. It makes jokes like this seem even more inappropriate, and like I say, aged really badly.
Still to this day, I have like anger management problems. There are times where I'm just like, "Ah!" and I just feel like I need to hit something or like scream in a pillow. I used to like
This guy is
actually
such a fucking
rip things up or get angry.
her
So
little
I grabbed my
sidekick,
dog
her evil
for
minion.
no
He's
reason.
so.
Just grabbed the dog.
He looks like a
pinched its
future
skin,
serial
dug
killer.
my nails into it. The dog yelps,
He
turns
looks
around to protect
completely
itself, and
uncomfortable
bites
sitting
me in
next
the
to her.
face. I got stitches. I went to the hospital, and they were like, "What happened?" And I was like, "The dog just bit me." And then they had to put the dog to sleep because the dog was dangerous to be around. So I murdered a dog.
It's really sad.
And then we
I
had this whole section about how to make yourself
murdered a
feel
dog.
better.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? I grabbed the dog, I antagonized it, and then it got put down. I'm so quirky and funny. Like, I can't stress to you how angry that fucking makes me. You people don't know how much I love dogs and rabbits. Like, I would honestly punch this bitch if I met her in real life. That pisses me off that much. Like, that is not okay. You antagonized your own animal. It's not like it was a random stranger's dog, right? Your own fucking animal. You antagonized it. It bit you. You made up a sob story. Your parents, for protecting you, put down the dog that that was innocent in this whole thing. And now you make a fucking video and think that's funny. How
I
what
wonder
a
how the parents feel.
how fucking demented is that? Yeah, and I wonder how the parents feel about that, honestly. That's so fucking gross. Oh no, it's not a Sif fanboy. If you don't know, that's the person she works with. What's his name?
Corey.
He's Corey. He's like her sidekick, and he's done a bunch of evil shit to people. They are perfect for each other. He is like her lackey, and he has his own scandals going on right now. He's a piece of work too. He was part of sending mean texts, manipulative behavior. So yeah, he's just
By
as
putting
bad.
others down. And there's a couple of pages like this, but they're all basically the same. And it's like a great way to make yourself feel better is to make other people feel worse. So
This
you
really
put
talks
people
to her
down with
mentality.
insults, put downs, and dissers. Oh god, I haven't heard that word in a while. Dissers. I think it's a bad joke, but I understand why she was trying to do it. But again, this aged really badly, didn't it? Considering Colleen was doing this to people at the time and for a long time afterwards.
And still,
Literally, like,
it still is.
bitching about her fans,
Trisha
complaining
Paytas.
about her
This
husband to children,
definitely brings a
like,
new light to that.
talking crap about friends behind their back, she being really two-faced apparently. Like, this, yeah, in context is like, maybe Colleen took a little too much inspiration from the Miranda character here and turned into a bit of a mean girl in real life too.
She
This next
always
section
was,
is called
though.
The
The character was
Offensive, and
mean.
these are all the offensive things in the book. There were quite a few of these, and some of them I didn't know what to put in this category or others, so I did whatever, you know. I'm sorry, I'm very, very tired today. That took a video.
Okay, so Donut, I have talked about this, and I'd like you to watch my video on Trisha Paytas addressing the Colleen thing. Yes, Trisha has done bad things, but I'd like to first say it's on a different level, and it's adult shit. I remember most of Trisha Paytas' scandal. She's changed quite a bit. go watch my video, go see her apology where Colleen dragged her into some of this drama and then sent her nudes, which are, by the way, under a paywall. She subscribed to the site, paid for it to get access to her pictures, and then sent her pictures to a 14-year-old fan. So, Donut, this is like, for, I can't believe I'm saying this, for probably the first time I've known this content creator, she was actually not wrong. In this, her and Colleen were doing a podcast together. They were friends. And when she invited her to her house with her kid there, Colleen, at her own private house, did this. And then on top of that, when she sent these nudes to underage person, was mocking her in like the subtitles of them. So, as much as I know people kind of have this view, this very one specific time, Trisha Paytas is not in the wrong. You could go check out my video and see the full thing because I go over everything, and I have a video which also proves that Trisha Paytas was indeed wronged at this point because she had no knowledge of any of this. She didn't even know until some people released the photos, and she has currently disavowed herself publicly and personally from Colleen. And look, I don't care who you are, you don't deserve to have that happen to you. To have someone unknowingly violate your trust like that, there's no excuse. It was really terrible. Yeah, she body shamed her. Yeah. Yeah, I can trust that she is not in the wrong. Oh yeah, I brought up a video that proves that Trisha Paytas had no knowledge, and Jay's been following this with me.
Yeah.
She had no knowledge about this. We can honestly say, and there's receipts, without a shadow of a doubt, Trisha Paytas was actually wronged, terribly wronged. And the scary part is, Trisha, since having a kid, you can see in her video, looks totally different, conducts herself in a completely different manner, doesn't come on crying. And when you watch her body language and stuff, if you've ever seen her apology videos and how she overdoes everything, this time she looks legitimately hurt. Her and Colleen were friends, or at least she was a friend.
Yeah, she was very tense, very like, I can't believe this happened. Like, she was so like she.
Oh yes, Donut, she did. She body shamed her in those pictures. Body shamed her, called her a fat whale. It was fucking horrible. And I'm not a fan of Trisha Paytas, and there are a lot of people who don't like her who came on her video to give her support. That's how fucking terrible this whole thing was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
It really took a lot out of me. I wanted to do something a little more relaxed today, so that's why I'm trying to do this. And it's not really scripted, it's just more like my reactions. I needed something lighter and shorter and less intense than a 3-hour.
Oh, I'm gonna do a video on that because that'll be part 2 to my next one.
Please do. That video was a lot of effort and I worked really hard on it and I'm really proud of it, so I'd love for you to go watch it. Anyway,
I
I'm
agree,
a little
Donut.
exhausted. I've been working a lot recently, so this is me trying to like wind down and not burn out. After I film this, I'm going to go for lunch with Kieran, which would be nice. Anyway, let's look at the offensive things in this book, shall we? This is the opening of a whole section on love. We've already seen a few pages from this section already, but let's look at a few more. In this chapter, I will teach you how to conquer love and how to get a boyfriend, but not a girlfriend, because I'm not Lebanese. This is just one of the first little hints of homophobia in the book. There's a couple here and there. It's not a huge thing, but it's still inappropriate and offensive. I get the joke between Lebanese and lesbian and ha, she's stupid because she thinks they're the same word. That's okay. That can be funny, like dumb people mixing up words. I think they made the same joke on Glee, didn't they, with Santana and Brittany getting her the Lebanese t-shirt. But the whole ha, I'm not a lesbian. That's the main joke here, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's what Colleen really wanted to say. And it's just a little homophobic. It's just a little gross. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. Here she has a page on makeup, and you have blah blah blah, foundation, blush, whatever, their jokes. And then finally bronzer. This makes you look like another race. This is illegal, don't use it. Again, I put this in the offensive bit because, like, especially when you've
Black
already
jokes.
featured other YouTubers and creators in this book, like Shane Dawson, who have been called out for their use of blackface quite
Blackface,
a
yep,
lot in the
I
past.
remember that.
Now making light of that criticism and being like, ha ha ha, all these people who are upset by blackface, what idiots, ha 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 ha, and making a joke about it. I'm like, that's offensive. That's really offensive. Let's not make light of how bad that is and how harmful that is and how awful it is. Anyway, then there's this page about scams and frauds, which, even with typos, is offensive because it uses the J word for one of the G slurs / insults. I'm not sure I really want to repeat it in the context of reading out Miranda's page, but I will in terms of reading this article that just explains why this is offensive and the history of it and stuff like that. I thought this was a really good explanation that explained it well. So, you know, I am going to repeat these words in terms of making sure people know what I'm talking about, but hopefully, like, no, I'm not directing them at anyone or using them myself. Does that make sense? I hope so. Anyway. The common word used to describe the Romany people, but the term carries many negative connotations, and its derivative carries even more. When somebody is, they are, according to Merriam-Webster, defrauded, swindled, and cheated. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the
There's
first
a
known
whole
recorded
page in her
definition of
book
the term
about this.
dates back to the
Just
1899
think
Century
about that.
Dictionary, which says it's probably an abbreviation of as applies to a sly, unscrupulous fellow. Many people have limited knowledge of the term's origins, so the word isn't quickly going out of fashion. Many people just don't know what the word means or where it comes from. And I admit, I was one of those people. I heard the word so much growing up. My mum still uses it. People...
Come to Culver's and treat someone
No,
you love.
I'm not going to
Give
go
them
to
that shirt of
Culver's. I've been to Culver's. It doesn't end well.
You're a hardworking adult ready for a comeback. You made your schedule, you called the shots, you...
back in my hometown in Princeton, still use it all the time. And while it's never really been a word that I've used myself, like, it's one that I've heard a lot, and I had no idea there was anything wrong with it. I didn't know until I was maybe 24 or 25 that I learned the origin and what it meant and why it was bad and why it was so offensive.
What's that?
I said I agree, Janie, to her comment.
Oh yeah, like, yeah, she said I had no idea it was a slur to about 4 or 5. To tell you the truth, I didn't know until I was in my late 20s, and a lot of my family members used it. Like, look, with comedy and stuff like that, it's one thing, like stand-up comics, because when they say something that's a slur, it's meant to destigmatize it and have a talk about it. As we said, though, that's an adult audience. Once again, this is promoting that word that kids are going to say, not knowing the context or the relevance or the history behind the word. Yeah, I agree. This is very fucking offensive.
So many Romany people and travelers, you know? So I understand the average person maybe not being aware of its history and why it's wrong.
Not to mention, coming from an Irish background, the Irish in particular have a very strong hatred towards the Romanese people. I've heard my uncles and aunts use it a lot. This is a word that's deep-seated in a lot of hatred and just downright prosecution of these people who are just essentially wanderers. So, like, there's a deep-rooted thing. And when I saw that section, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you did not put that in there. That's mind-boggling. You know what's even more mind-boggling? That they allowed that to be published. Just think about that. They published that.
A random person learning on the fly. Colleen was a 29-year-old woman when she wrote this book with an entire publishing team behind her. Did no one pick up on this? Did no one say, hey, maybe we shouldn't use this offensive word? Maybe we shouldn't do this? Or did they realize
Hey,
and
Laura.
just not care? Like, is that meant to be the joke? That you're being, like, racially and culturally insensitive? Is that it? Once again, she makes light of racism a bit more on this page about
So
Vine.
just think about
Vine
this,
or
right?
Vine is
So let's put this into context, because I don't think a lot of people covered the book section, which is why we're getting to this. So to Adam's point, right, when the whole controversy came out about the tweet, he was told to tweet that was co-signed by her, but he got thrown underneath the bus, right? That whole thing. She literally is outing herself in a book that probably very few people even knew about because we didn't know, right? She has literally this whole section that has downright racist shit in it. And I don't use that lightly. You know how I hate people just being labeled racist because they have an opinion. But this is different. This is downright like outing yourself. Purely racist. And it was progressive, right? First we had the whole bronzer thing. Haha, blackface. Okay, whatever. That's a topic within itself. That fucking idiot Trudeau went blackface too. Okay? And it gets progressively more and more racist. Like, downright, you can't deny this is some racist shit she is putting in this book for children. For children.
Place
Disgusting.
where you scream a lot, say bad words, or choose to be racist. I choose to scream. What do you choose? Scream, bad words, or racist? Like, I know...
She spelled that pretty
I don't
well.
know. Like, again, I kind of get where the humor was meant to be and the joke was meant to be in this, because, like, yeah, a lot of big creators did get huge by making racist jokes on Vine. Look at She Who Will Not Be Named, with her running through black neighborhoods video in an attempt at comedy. That was racist. She got big on Vine off the back of racism. So did many others. So I understand what the joke is here, but it also feels like you are making light of people who have criticized content creators for their racism, actions, you know? And that bothers me a bit. And that's why I put this in the offensive category. Okay, just 2 more categories left. And this one I titled Too Sexual for Kids. And this is one of the biggest categories in the video because Colleen does this far too much. As we saw from the reviews in the beginning, parents are mad about this book because, yes, it is inappropriate for children in terms of the sexual content and the sexual humor and that sort of thing like that. Now, I'm not saying you can't have double layers to jokes and stuff like that in children's content, because of course you can. I love Wallace and Gromit. Absolutely adore Wallace and Gromit.
We all love Wallace and
my mum
Gromit.
taking me to see one of the Wallace and Gromit films in the cinema, and I think it was Curse of the Were-Rabbit. And there's this one bit
I love that one.
Because I was... how old was I when that came out? Let me find what year it was. We didn't really go to the cinema much in my family, so it's a big, big treat. 2005, so I was 12. Okay. And there's a scene where, like, I don't know, something happens. It's all slapstick comedy, and that's the humor for the kids and stuff. And then Wallace ends up in, like, nothing but a cardboard box. And the humor is, ha, 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 slapstick comedy, and now he's wearing a box, and that's the joke for kids. But for adults, the joke is he's now wearing a box that says may contain nuts. And I remember as a 12-year-old being like, oh, I get it both, and, like, seeing the humor in both. And, like, that's one of those things where you can have that slightly risque adult humor, but it not be inappropriate for the kids.
Like that one scene in Shrek, right, where they have the little things, and it's like, wipe your face, wipe your... And then it pauses. Like, stuff like that. Austin Powers, but that's more of the PG-13 kind of more teenage things, but I would even argue that too trends a fine line without going too far. Well, some of the jokes did, but there's a lot of subtle, like, humor. There is a huge difference, and how you present a joke has to have multi-layers where you have to dig deep for what the true meaning of the joke is. And if you don't, then it's not a joke. It's just you being crude.
Yeah.
And I don't think...
It's a very fine line.
I think she gets it.
Be careful.
I don't think she wants to do it.
And she crosses that line far too many times.
Oh, she's a habitual line crosser.
Right from, like, the first page, where this isn't bad. This is the least bad part. Basically, it's a thing about her being born, and it has this picture of a doctor, like, in between this woman with her legs wide open, and, like, it's meant to look weirdly sexual, like he's having sex with her, I think. That's the joke. That's funny, apparently. Next, we have pages like this about how to cuddle, and you'll see
this I found
like
extremely offensive.
9, and ha ha ha, it's funny because they're making a 6 and a 9 shape with their arms. Except, is it really funny to make jokes about explicit sexual positions like this with your child audience? I don't feel like this is an Easter egg for the parents or older people. I feel like this is just inappropriate for kids.
Mhm.
Same with the next bit in the corner, which has a cuddle called The Uncle, but we'll cover that more in the next section because I have so much to say about these uncle jokes.
Mm.
Then there's lots and lots of slut shaming in this book, like constantly.
Oh yeah,
Here's
that's
a
been a
page
big thing.
about different types of shoes, and you can have like fun shoes, business shoes. Then there's the offensive, if you're barefoot, you're hungry. I think this might be another homeless person joke. I'm not sure. I can't tell. And then she has, if you wear high heels, you're a slut.
No context, no subtlety, no.
Nice. Again, I don't see the humor. I don't see how this is appropriate for kids. I don't see how the word slut is used so many times in a children's book in such a derogatory way like
It's
this.
like
Like on this
straightforward.
one, she has
It's
a
not
love
like
quiz
Lady of
with
the
all these,
Night or
you know,
something clever.
stupid questions. Again, the uncle theme. Where would you go on a date? Uncle's house, beach, nothing. Like, remember all these uncle references, it's bad. And yeah, like, they're silly questions. What kind of pet do you want? Dog, snake, ant farm, whatever. But then the results are where I have an issue because, you know, if you get a certain amount of points, you're a Miranda.
I saw this
If you get
part,
another
like-
points, you're a boring bae. Okay. But then your other categories are slutty bae, which is you are a slut, capital letters. Put your tongue back in your mouth and stop being inappropriate. You need prayer and sensual bae. I don't know what word that's meant to be. You know how to keep a man. You are almost a slut, but keep it holy enough to be a good lady. Are slut-shaming jokes appropriate for children and young teens? Is
No.
calling your child audience
Absolutely
sluts
not.
and almost sluts really appropriate? Because
So, yeah, I think comments, criticisms. What?
Like, why? Why was this published? Like, literally, like I said earlier, it is just solidifying my belief that this is a brainwashing book. This is not a satire book. This is not anything other than what it looks like. And it solidifies my belief that Miranda is Colleen and Colleen is Miranda. There's not a different character that she's trying to push. She puts the Miranda face on so she can do all of her perverted, depraved, motherfucking bullshit, and then has her cute little mommy blog where she's still a fucking...
I'm just letting her go off on a rant because this is amazing to me. There's very few times, if you've seen Jay on my channel, she's the composed one. So if she's getting mad about this, you know it's pretty serious. She's saying everything I could rant about, so that's why I'm letting her have this one. Because, yeah, from a not only woman perspective, but a mother too, she can say it better than I ever could. Like, and me just capping this off, having a young daughter, I feel all the same ways. So it's just like, yeah, ditto to your point.
This shit got me fired up.
This is disgusting that now we've entered. Not only are we talking about incest, okay, and we're going to get to that section in a bit, but also you are calling young girls sluts. I don't even know what the fuck. Seriously, just what the fuck. That's my comment. And you know, when I'm bewildered for words, it's really bad because I am very opinionated, and this I just keep on thinking in my mind. All that runs through my head is what the fuck.
He's got 3 children. She has 3 fucking children. I have 3 children. Like, and my kids are 15, 10, and 4. I never, not ever, would I ever put myself in a situation where I would use this type of verbiage. Would I ever use this type of influence on, you know, my oldest child? There was a time...
Great, Aaron. Sorry.
You're good. There was a time when we had an incident happen with inappropriate content online, and that spread into inappropriate contact with strangers online, which spread to inappropriate photographs online with these people, and to the point where we had to go to the fucking police, and we had to go and we had to take all this shit to them, and they had to go and they had to find the person, and it was a whole fucking thing. And the thing was so fucking terrifying that the fact that this bitch wants to sit here and act like this is motherfucking okay is motherfucking ridiculous. And I am so sick to my stomach, and I cannot believe that this shit has gone on this long, and I cannot believe that she has millions of victims. It's not just onesie, twosies, 10, maybe a dozen. She's got motherfucking million people that she has freaking exposed to this nasty underground bullshit. Let our kids be motherfucking kids. Leave them the fuck alone. And you're gonna fucking slut shame for what? They're 10. Way to make them feel uncomfortable in their own motherfucking skin. Like, this is so.
So yeah, what? I'm the calm one today. How fucking weird is this stream?
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like, yeah, because this is bad. This is really bad. Like, yeah,
I don't think it is. And then she has a couple of pages on dancing, and I actually thought these were okay at first because I think a lot of us had books and magazines as a kid, like that had like photos of like step-by-step dance routines or whatever. Like that's how I learned a lot of the steps, dance routines and stuff. I'm not going to do it on camera because I'm a bad dancer. So I figured, okay, these are like, you know, parodying them, and I think that could be really funny. That could be really good. Like this whole one on like, you know, dancing hands with like ballet hands, and that's funny. That's fine. That's kid appropriate. Okay. But then this first page where you have, see, the first two I thought were fine, but then you have like the worm photo, which seemed, it's not the worst thing, but I was like, is it a potentially inappropriate position? And I was like, I felt a little bit weird. And then you have this thing about encouraging kids to twerk, and you have a QR code to a video of twerking. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not appropriate.
and you know what? Okay, in this very one instance, I will not blame just Colleen for this fucking twerking thing. It's like an epidemic since this stupid fucking dance has come out.
Yeah.
It's not just her. A lot of other people have promoted this shit. Even famous people who normally their demographic is adults. You know, but kids pick up on dances and stuff. So this whole fad, I see it as more of her just jumping on the bandwagon. But once again, it's marketing, and once again, it's kids. I don't know how many times we can say that in this stream. It's children.
The thing is, I did follow through this.
Glad with Clorox goes all in on protection.
Yeah, it does. Those are good bags,
It eliminates
QR code. And the thing is, the video has since been made private, so I have to wonder what was it and how bad was it.
Oh,
the
God.
page it linked to was something about like how to twerk or whatever. So I looked at Miranda Sings How to Twerk and found this video, which I assume might be slightly related.
So you have been asking me for a twerking tutorial lately, and so I didn't know what that was, so I looked it up. And unfortunately,
her voice is so fucking annoying when she does this character. I hate it.
Twerking. Yeah. So I'm gonna do twerking without being porn.
Keep in mind, this is like almost a 30-year-old, or like past 30 now, year-old woman with 3 kids.
That is twerking Miranda style without being porn. Don't forget to leave a video below doing your own version of Miranda style twerking. And let's get rid of porn. Hashtag no porn. Get rid of porn style twerking.
All these porn references and don't be porn and slut shaming and like sexualizing your child fans. It just feels wrong to me. I don't like it. This is then followed by other pages with like them saying, now you know how to dance, but beware. Dancing can be dangerous. Some dancing is very inappropriate and can make others lust. Let's not tell children they're causing others to lust when they're dancing, yeah? Even as a joke, it's really bad. And the choice of dancers on here, again, bothers me. You have twerking.
I just have to highlight
you
that
have the
Jay
Michael
would,
Jackson, which
like,
I assume is in reference
look
to
at
Michael
Jay's
Jackson
face.
child abuse allegations, which again feels.
I'm doing my maniacal evil laugh. This is a protagonist becoming a villain. Like, this is what's happening.
We're watching an origin story, folks. like,
Please.
like, so, Yeah, we're almost done.
It's inappropriate to joke about with
10
kids.
minutes.
And then you have pole dancing, which again
Pole
feels inappropriate to joke about with kids, but here we are.
dancing.
Next up, we have some drawing lessons, by which I mean penis jokes for kids. There's this thing
Yay,
about
penis
drawing
jokes.
a person and
Yay!
she's got
I was
a
worried that she wouldn't
penis.
cover
Ha,
this.
ha, ha. Yes, I'm sure kids are going to find this so funny. Then there's this page on how to draw a hot dog, which is literally a vagina joke, but they messed up because
With
apparently they
penis.
didn't put the red ink on this page or something. Here's a clip of Colleen talking about it.
Like, okay, there's a mistake on every page, Colleen, really, but there's an actual mistake on this page.
I'm afraid to hear what this is.
Add ketchup.
The blood.
And they're supposed to be red because I wanted it to look like, well, you can tell what I wanted it to look like, and we just forgot to add the red ketchup, so there's no ketchup on that.
I'm so glad.
Again,
this is one time I'm
this
glad
really
there's a
appropriate in a
mistake.
book for children? I just don't.
So first
think
time
it's
sexual
funny
encounter.
or
Great,
appropriate.
Colleen.
This is the entire
Next up,
book
we
is
have the
grooming.
pages on porn and how not to be porn and the anti-porn unicorn. This is basically just a rehashing of the porn skit from her live shows in which she like dresses up a fan like herself and is like, "This is not porn," and then points to another fan and is like, "This is porn," and so she's telling her child fans that they're
The fact
porn.
that this show
She
was
has this
allowed
photo
to
of herself
exist
and she's like, "This
blows
is
my
porn
fucking
because
mind.
there's a chesticle
really- it
crack."
does.
She means cleavage. Tookie, which I googled, is a bum, and lots of skins. Things like how not to be porn, are to button to the top and cover up your ankles. Blah, blah. Like, yeah, some of this stuff could be funny. I mean, it's not, but it could be. You know, things like covering up your ankles. The bit where she points out inappropriate things are like elbow creases. That could be funny. That could be taking the mick out of purity culture and, you know, shaming and policing women's bodies. There could be a joke there. This is fine. But again, I feel like a lot of kids are missing the context for this to be funny. I feel like we shouldn't be talking to kids about porn even in joke form like this. I don't think we should be sexualizing children in their dress. Yeah. Things like having a unicorn cartoon say do not be porn to kids feels wrong, right? That's not just me, is it? And then she offers a cutout for kids
We're literally
to
dying
make their
inside
own
here.
unicorn porn that they can wear so that they too can become an anti-porn unicorn. What am I doing with my life? Why am I saying these words? Then we get some more penis jokes
Trust
on
me,
this page
I feel you.
about
I feel you, girl.
tweeting. Be sure to tweet with hashtags. For example, I love a sturdy croc. Hashtag blessed, hashtag winning, which is, I think, meant to be like a penis joke about croc and penis and, you know. Others include, I ruined my panties and sticky parts are on my skin today, not my fault. Yeah, these are definitely like sexual innuendos and sexual jokes and stuff. And again, feels inappropriate for kids, right? Then there's this one about Snapchat, and she says one of the good things about Snapchat is if you take a pic of something you don't like, it disappears. Here's an example of a picture I'm glad disappeared, and you have this weird like blurry photo of like a thumb near the camera and then lots of skin. It looks like a penis. It looks like a half-hidden penis, but it's cropped and it's like that's meant to be the joke. The joke is ha ha ha, penis photos. Let me put something that looks like a penis photo, but probably isn't, in a kid's book. Again, I don't think it's funny. I don't think we should be making jokes about sending nudes to kids. I don't think we should be making any jokes which kind of encourage kids to send nudes because that is illegal. I don't like it. Call me a prude, but I don't think this is appropriate for kids. Next up, she includes 3 whole pages of hate comments that she's received on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
and
this is
some of these are just, again, completely inappropriate for kids. Things like, the entire video I was wondering how she was covering her monster-sized penis. So we have transphobia and penis jokes in a children's book. On this page, for example, Colleen makes the effort to censor out some swear words with beeps, but she still keeps in words like ho and the arsler, which is nice, isn't it? I know these aren't her that have said it, but the fact that she's like publishing these in a book and kind of feels a bit wrong. And then once again,
illegal
more porn
because
jokes
these
and
people
references
never,
like
I'm sure, didn't give consent to be published in a book. So when we talked about the Trisha Paytas thing and I said it was illegal, yeah, this is also showing what would occur, which makes me believe Trisha even more of not having knowledge because she's already posting this with, I'm sure the people who wrote this and anyone on YouTube, like doxing is a real thing. Even if you rip a comment that was given from you and it's behind a username, you still can't publish those in like a book format. You can't do that just from a legal standpoint. So this is like a collection of criminal shit in a book. It blows my fucking mind. Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing that's really really frustrating for me is like, because look at the environment she's created. The world that she's cultivated with her fans is they're fucking vicious. They are blindly loyal and will do anything she asks. So what's to say she puts all this hate mail in there and those kids don't start trying to research these people and sending hate to them and get themselves in dangerous situations to where it could have been avoided had she not even put this information. At least take their fucking screen names out.
yeah, because spoiler alert, you can have a screen name. These kids are really good with technology. They can figure out just by going on at like a Facebook or stuff where it might have your real name and then your log or your thing you go under Twitter or something, and then they found out all of your information because we all know Facebook is a fucking joke with security. And that's how a lot of people have gotten doxxed in the YouTubing community. So this shit now is dangerous if people track these people down. And her only reason for putting this hate mail in is for her audience to know about these people who are sending probably appropriate comments to this content, given what is being read out. Maybe some of it's borderline racist, that whole transphobic comment. Yeah, that person's kind of whatever, but that still doesn't mean they should be harassed in a real life situation. That's dangerous. This is dangerous stuff.
Yeah,
like
my dad came in and I switched to porn because it was easier to explain
information on the wrong person.
Oh yeah, or they get shot or something. This is how news stories are.
Or worse, they end up with some sort of like predator.
Oh yeah, let's not forget that audience.
Do you have so many jokes about porn for kids? Why? Then she has this like thing about recipes, including microwaved hot dog and a tuna salad where you put both in bag and squeeze into mouth, and then it has this photo of her essentially squeezing white liquid onto her tongue. And again, it's clearly meant to be a blowjob semen in mouth joke that isn't appropriate for kids.
I didn't realize it was my responsibility to decide what was appropriate for every kid to see.
Finally,
that
I want to
sheds
talk
a new
about
light
the
on that
creepy
whole
uncle
line.
jokes that run throughout this book. The joke is...
Oh boy, that was appropriate. So, last section.
Ethan, the world
I'm actually looking forward to this. I will be doing a review on this sidebar.
Miranda has an
Love
uncle
Mission
who molests
Impossible.
her in a
Anyways, let's
shed.
continue.
Ha 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 ha! So funny. What a good joke.
I used to message my fans, but not in a creepy way, like a lot of you are trying to suggest. It was
Oh no, because this book has been totally stable the whole time.
For sure.
It's kind of like
positive
you
influence.
know, like a family gathering. You know, and there's a weird aunt there. Keeps going
Oh,
up to you and going like,
weird
hey,
aunt.
it's the tea. And like, that was me.
I agree. That I agree with.
As I've said before, I just think there's not really that many things that you can't or shouldn't joke about. I feel like, as well, maybe sometimes like it's okay for people to make jokes about their own trauma and experiences, you know? Dark humor can help people cope. If you want to make a dark joke about your own experiences and how it's affected you, that's absolutely...
I'll give you an example. In the Super Mario Brothers movie, I'm sure people have seen the clip. There's like this little star, and the joke is it looks happy and joyful, but as they're being lowered down into like the lava, it says, "Great, the great beyond is coming. I can't wait for the darkness." That's hilarious because if you're a kid, you're just looking at the cute star and going, "Oh my goodness." And if you're an adult, you're like, "Oh, it's a depressed star, but it looks happy." There's nuance and layers to that, right?
Yeah.
I can't say it enough. It's context. And I mean, that's marketed towards kids. And once again, we've talked about kids stuff where they've thrown in adult humor, but it will go over their heads and it'll be bearable for us to watch it. This is not that. This is very blunt and pointed and very mean, to be quite honest.
Absolutely fine. But I think making a punchline for a fictional character be, ha ha ha, her uncle molests her and she has no idea, I don't find that funny. Where the
let's
punchline
normalize
is, ha, child abuse funny. I don't
let's
get it.
normalize
We've
child
already
abuse.
seen the one with the uncle hug, where it's basically Miranda's laying on the floor looking scared, and a man is on top of her, straddling her. It looks like rape. That's the joke. The uncle rapes her. That's apparently what's funny. Then you had this thing where apparently, like, the uncle wrote a thing about bases in a relationship. I think it's meant to be funny. You can pause this and read it for yourself. I don't get the humor. I don't get it, but okay. Here's the thing about how on
Get
the
it?
first date
Bases, first
you
base, second
might
base
want
with
to
your
take
fucking
someone to the
uncle.
movies or
Are we
to
having
your
fun yet?
uncle's house, because it's a very private place where you can play with your daddy saddle. My uncle talks
that's
about
my
headshots,
thoughts.
and then it's photos of Colleen / Miranda in lots of poses, including ones with her mouth open in, like, again, sort of almost replicating blowjob stance kind of thing, like porn style shots. You know, that's meant to be funny. Uncle writes, it's also important to keep your headshots current. That's why I take lots of pictures of Miranda every day. And the joke is he's making child porn. That's the punchline. That's the humor. On the social media bit, she says, hashtags are used to explain your picture. For example, hashtag mad at my uncle. There's this thing on how to be your own doctor with lots of bad medical advice, including if there's, like, and the joke is they're all stupid, like, things that won't fix anything, right? For example, if you have a broken arm, use a tape cast. If you stepped on Lego,
like, that's kind of funny.
Okay, fine, whatever. Stupid, but whatever. And then the last one is something stuck in you. Get help from uncle. Good sleep is good. Try these good sleep positions to sleep good. Pictures my uncle took to show how I sleep, including one with, like, her bum up in the air and another with her mouth open again, like another with her legs spread. Like, clearly the joke here is meant to be, ha ha ha, when I'm unconscious, my uncle makes child porn of me. That's the joke. On this English worksheet, it's a fill in the blank thing on one of the activities. Tickles are to uncle as blank is to bay. And then there's a few more. And that's it. That's where I'm going to end talking about this book today. But my overall thoughts are, this is completely inappropriate for children. And the humor is offensive in so many ways, even if it wasn't aimed at children. But ultimately, this just feels completely inappropriate for her audience. I don't get who Miranda. I don't get who Colleen thinks her audience is, who she's aiming this content at, how it's appropriate for any of them. It just doesn't make sense to me. And the fact that so many children do watch her, the fact that her program is classified as a children's program on Netflix, the fact that she does and has always had such a young fan base. She's had teenagers, so many teenagers going to her shows. She's been inappropriate with teenagers on stage. She had this, like, group chat with a bunch of teenagers when she was, like, 30 and stuff. And the fact that she's then putting out content like this just bothers me and worries me, and that's why I wanted to make this video. Colleen does have a second book written under the name Miranda Sings as well, which I think is called, like, My Diary, and the joke is it's like a diary, but the title makes it look like diarrhea. That's apparently the
we'll
joke.
be diving into
I
that.
haven't looked at this book, I haven't read it, but if you would like me to cover it in another video, please let me know down in the comments.
So and go check out Rachel. I'll have a link to her video, which goes into part 2. I will be covering that, actually. We couldn't do 2 of these videos in one day. Look at poor Jay's face. She's so exhausted from being pissed off. I'm mentally beaten up on top of being tired already. This has mentally scrambled my brain. But I think the highlight is for people refuting these allegations, right? And we're going to wrap it up here soon. But first, before we wrap it up, let's just give some of our own thoughts and stuff, as this is our writing section that we does, but this is a special little thing because this does go to what we do, which is writing. And like, look, some of the stuff we might put in our books, I've read excerpts. My language and stuff in it is not exactly appropriate, but I am not marketed towards children. I don't imagine, even if it's young teens that might pick up whatever, Hunger Games have done that.
Yeah.
Manga, things like that, and they, Attack on Titan, all these other things, right? There is a younger audience that follows that, but not 6, 7, 8 years old. We're talking teenagers like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, because they even get what the story is about. So it's different because you tailor make it to people who will understand what you're writing about. It's intentionally over a younger audience's head. Do you want to know why? Because it's not designed for fucking kids. So when you're writing it, your target is not kids, your target is adults. Therefore, everything you're making is not meant to appeal towards a kid. It's meant to make them disinterested the moment they look at it and like, this bores me. They put it down and go to the next thing, right? Yeah. That's our barrier we create as artists, right? Just like when I talk about these things, if a kid, for instance, was to wander on my channel, they would have no fucking clue what we're talking about. And that's the point. It's creating an intentional separation between children that we know this is inappropriate for versus the audience we are trying to get and start a conversation with. That's what my channel is about, right? I'm trying to talk to adults and make them aware of these sick fucking people. And this bitch is currently hitting my list with a bullet at number 1. And I'm just going to say it, Jay. I honestly feel like she's worse than Amber Heard. I really do. Because Amber Heard shit, that was to adults. We can argue that goes to something different, right? You're going into different things with adults who are going through domestic violence, things like that. That's a different ball game. This is kids. I can't stress that enough. This is children. She is hitting them with shit that Amber Heard was doing, but creating like that kind of culture. How many people here want 20 Amber Heards walking around? Because I sure as shit don't. And that's what she's creating. She's creating Amber Heards. I can't think of an abusive male, but pick one. She's creating them because little boys are going to read this and think it's okay to treat women like that with all the porn shit and calling women sluts and stuff. So you are, by proxy, getting both genders and creating a rift between both genders and making each one think that treating the other one like shit is how you form meaningful relationships. To kids. Fucking kids. I can't stress that enough. Fucking kids. So, Jay, your thoughts?
I am enraged and disgusted and feel like I want to throw up and like I want to cry.
and yet, wow, that was it was a lot. Some of that stuff I didn't even know about until we just started viewing, because I seen some of the video, and just off of what I see, I go, oh, I gotta watch this with Jay, because like this puts what Adam has been saying for a couple of years now into a context that, in a sense, people knew about this and just chose to ignore it. They just blatantly ignored. The people who published this ignored it. They knew what was in the book. And she says that. There's clips in the video. She says they fought with her on it, but still put it in the book. Just think about that. So somebody did review this. They did edit it. They called her and said, hey, we can't put this in a children's book. And got it in there. Just think about that. I wonder how that conversation went down, to where what tactic did she use to get them to co-sign this, Jay? Like, to have photos on someone? What combination of words got them to okay this?
Well, right, and then that's the other thing too. Like Janie is saying over here, like I totally agree. Like this book is not a satire book. This is absolutely not. Like I saw your guys' comments talking about slapstick humor and this and the other and whatever. I disagree. just because the way it's formatted, the information that's put in there, that's not satire. It's not fucking satire. It's literally a brainwashing tool for her young audience and normalizing this behavior. And the whole uncle thing is I'm so terrified. And if I ever find out that so many of her fans or whatever are normalizing that behavior in their lives, like the issue I talked about with my oldest child earlier, he's still still traumatized right now, still traumatized. Like, doesn't realize it obviously, because it's just stuff that you notice in your children's behavior after they go through stuff like this. And I'm just so grateful that I pay attention to my kids, because I'm the one, that caught that event, and I'm the one that basically fucking handled it, because I was like, absolutely fucking not. Like, you are not, I say all the time, I tell my children that, I would burn down the world for them. And if I find out that one of my children was exposed to this behavior and was in this group chat with her or anything, like, it's gonna be I can't. I feel for any of her fans, because she's got millions of victims. And I was reading through the reviews on Amazon for this book, and it made me so disgusted and upset, because there's so many 5-star reviews from parents that bought it, and they're like, oh yeah, she owned this book, she did such a good job, and blah blah. And I'm like, did you look at the whole thing? Did you read the whole thing? Why is this okay? I wouldn't let
I think they looked at the cover.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe. Then again, this is the world we live in, right? There are people. I talked about this. There was a YouTuber who I like, who does Call of Duty, and he just simply made one comment, and it was this thing for Pride Month where they tried to go into a preschool and do that, and people were saying, look, high school and stuff is different, but preschool, they don't even know what the fuck Pride Week is. So he put on the bottom, leave them kids alone. That's all he said. Nothing homophobic, nothing against Pride Month, nothing like that. Got canceled. Or they tried to cancel him, I should say. And he had a sponsorship with Activision, who's a bunch of fucking scumbags. If you guys don't know Activision Blizzard or any of that shit, these are people who defended Pride Month, but they have a rape culture in their workplace so bad that they had to fire multiple people. And these were people who got raped and committed suicide. That's Activision, right? And they canceled this guy for a statement. That is different. And how Colleen has tried to now frame this is she's trying to lump herself into cancel culture. Like, I've said some offensive things, so now they're trying to come after me. And on the surface, if you don't look into this, you would think, yeah, okay, there's some inappropriate jokes. I don't see why they're trying to cancel her. But when you dig in and you get into the nuts and bolts of what she's saying versus somebody or doing versus like somebody making a statement and getting canceled for a statement, or even if it's a stupid comment and they've already apologized and being canceled for that, these are two very different things. They are not the same thing. And she's doing what every person who's famous has tried to do. They're taking a movement and they're trying to twist it to use it to their benefit. And I hope I would like to think it's not working, because just looking at this book, and this is why I'm reviewing this now, looking at this book, you can see, and this book is a couple of years before the controversy, even before Adam, right? Putting out his stuff or her fucking him over. This is kind of like in that time frame. And this validates everything he's ever said about her weird and strange obsession with kids and her inappropriate behavior. It's printed. Like, this shit is out there. You can buy it on Amazon. There is literally proof within the book. If you read between the lines in the subtext, it's not okay. And what blows my mind is that you can still doubt or just blatantly ignore it. You're like, yeah, those 5-star reviews, they are willingly ignoring the content that's being given to their kids. It's mind-boggling. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't see the positive argument for that word. Can't say it. Sorry, Papa. But then again, I'm not that word looking for a loophole either. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. It is like those people who look for those words. Dangerous words in comedy. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
Prank brosis. Yeah, exactly. She is one of those comedians where they say something and then they try to hide behind it's just a joke. Well, even though I've said that things shouldn't be off limits in comedies,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it shouldn't, but there's a nuance to comedy. And if you want to open a discussion about this stuff, how you come at it is just as important as the joke itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you come at it where, yeah, you're satirizing something serious, but you're also putting care and thought into what you're saying,
In a
right?
safe way, so it's not dangerous or impressionable.
Or not in a fucking child's book, right? If you're
Right.
like on stage and you throw out some of these jokes, could they be offensive? Yes. Will people definitely not like them? Yes. But once again, it's a comedy stage, you're in that environment, and that takes it to a different arena. But this is a kid's show, a kid's book,
Mm-hmm.
a Netflix show. And Netflix, you motherfuckers, you already got on my bad side with that Cuties. And if you defend that movie, get the fuck out of this chat. I have a video on that. You should know my views on that. I should not be surprised that a company like Netflix that released Cuties would co-sign her. That does, but
Yeah.
you put this under kids. I actually got curious and watched some of that. That's Netflix. Do better.
Yeah.
Do better. That's not kids. That's not kids content. And now you put it in the kids section where if you put the rating thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how that works. You put the rating so like your kid can't watch Lucifer
Yeah.
or something, right? Because we all know that would be something they'd stumble into. Right? So you put that rating on. Well, in the kids section is Miranda. Just think about that. So even blocking and being responsible and thinking, oh, I've blocked off my Netflix so my kids can't wander into the adult section. You have somebody who has marketed themselves as kids content, but it should be in adult content because of what she's saying and doing. It's terrible. It's so yeah. I'm getting close to my limit. But do you have any final thoughts you want to lead this on? Because I'm so fucking tired. I am mentally drained from doing this review. This is the first time I've reviewed something, and I'm just like my brain's fried.
Yeah. I definitely. All I'm gonna say is protect your children. Watch what they're consuming. Making sure they're safe. And make sure that you know exactly what they're doing and who they're with and who they're talking to, because this is scary, because now all these, like, that whole book was grooming, and with the way her environment has been cultivated and everything, I very, very much fear for these children. So protect our kids.
Yeah, protect our kids. Don't endorse her. And the reason why I created this series because I want to get into every nuance and really, there's so much evidence to the contrary. And I said this before I even did this and realized, holy shit, there's so much more here. When I was just doing the Trisha Paytas thing, I had fans come in of hers, and if you're a fan, you should look into this shit because me saying, oh, there's evidence. This isn't a dog pile. This isn't, they put defaming. I can't defame anyone who puts this shit out here. They've defamed themselves publicly. This isn't like I said, this isn't a Jonathan Majors thing or someone who's being in the media right now. They're throwing accusations and we have barely saw any proof, right? This isn't that. There's proof. There's literally a fucking book. I can buy it on Amazon right now. There's proof. There's literally written word that you can you can say this was all jokes or whatever, but if you put this together with the other pieces we have, it paints a broader picture of what's going on here. Like, this book is so telling of how true this is because it's right there for the world to see. You could have, without the other context to this, you could have played it off as, oh, I just wrote a book and yeah, it's outdated and aged or whatever, and I shouldn't have made it towards it, you know? But you can't spin that anymore with all the other shit now when you put it together. What Adam said,
Yep.
what he's received, when
What
you put
Johnny
it together,
said,
what she said, the fucking video of that inappropriate shit on stage that everybody amazingly allowed at a live show. That's a whole nother thing
Yeah,
I would like to cover.
video.
That's a whole nother thing. And you parents who have stood to the side, shame on you. Shame on you. I don't give a fuck if it was live or not. Somebody should have spoke up and said, whoa, wait. Like,
yeah.
What's going on? And there's so many other layers. There's people covering like when they've met Miranda live and her little like minion, how rude she is, how nasty she is to people. Like who pay to see her. You get this hangout thing and how she would quickly go through the crowd, take a couple of pictures, but then like basically get the fuck away from me kind of a thing. So it's not just this inappropriateness, but it's also like a narcissistic kind of vanity thing. Like once you meet her, she's completely different. It's like you said, her Colleen is the disguise.
Yep.
Her Miranda is who she really is. So just keep that in mind. Thank you everybody for watching. This has been quite a journey. Definitely tonight there'll probably be a late night talks. It depends because I do have the little one tonight. I may watch a movie. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm probably want to take her to see a movie. But I will be doing something Sunday with the bitchy one. You guys get to. Everybody's super excited about it. Wait until you see the surprise. We got a surprise video to review with all of you. So, oh yeah, wait until you see it. Oh boy. Anyways, it'll be fun. Because me and Bitchy, I wish we recorded our first reaction to what we were watching when you see who it is. So, but being that we suffered, you guys are all going to suffer with us. So it's going to be fun. I'm not putting up a thumbnail for that or anything. I want this to be a complete surprise to when you see what we're going over. But it's another piece of shit. Not on this level, but pretty close.
His dad's like, I need something light, man. I need something light.
You know what? I need a standard piece of shit person.
Yeah.
I almost like am yearning for a good Ezra story because Ezra's shenanigans are just kind of funny and sad. Like, I think he's a piece of shit and he does fall into that grooming thing, but at the same time, now looking at her, Ezra kind of strikes me as just needing help. She is a vicious monster. Like, really, I believe she's a monster. She is just horrendous.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it. Jay, you got anything coming up you want to promote before we get up out of here?
Nope. I can't even function to even talk about anything on my channel right now.
I would like to formally apologize to Jay for breaking her today. She had no clue. She saw the thumbnail and she was like, Zod, what the fuck are you getting me into here? She had no clue that I had watched this and been like, oh boy.
I believe the text I sent was, oh fuck, what is that? Or oh my god, what is this?
That when she saw the thumbnail and I go, oh, just you wait.
I was not prepared. I need to go de-stress. I don't even drink, but I need a drink.
I gotta be honest with you. I actually considered, now for me, it's barely noon. I've considered going to the store and getting a drink. If I didn't have to pick up my daughter, I'd get a 6-pack and just be like this on the couch all day.
Yeah.
Because that was mentally draining. This whole stream was very mentally draining for me. But thank you for the views. Once again, I hate to be this guy, but this is true for this. Please share this video. If you're new, share this video. We need to get this out. This is very important. In all seriousness, this is very important to me. This is why I'm coming at this a straight week really hard, making multiple videos, because people need to know about this. This is not okay. And the fact that somebody else who was a kid got fucked over by this person and was attacked and made to look like this really bad person they weren't, and now they were right, and you people fucking ignored them for years, you should be ashamed of yourselves. And that fans attacked this person viciously, and they were right. They were 100% right. They even brought you the evidence, and you refused to believe it. And here's the thing. This book was published years ago. It was always there. And all of you people chose to ignore it. And that is scary to me.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing. And that's the thing, because, like, I've been seeing a lot of comments on his videos like, you're getting on my nerves. You're just being so predatory. You're hunting down this poor person, and you're getting on my nerves with this. And it's like, don't be offended by his pettiness. He has the right to be motherfucking petty. He needs to be a putty ass motherfucking queen, because this is ridiculous. And now everybody's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, when he's just like, sipping my tea. I fucking told y'all. And now they want to be all fucking offended.
it's like, it's not hunting someone down when you think about it. If this was anybody else, and I can't stress this enough, if this was a guy, you motherfuckers would burn this person to the fucking stake. They could not be canceled fast enough if this was a guy. If a guy had done half of this shit, there have been guys who have been canceled for far less. Okay? JD went through this shit too, and was innocent, and just now started getting movie roles, and Disney calling back going, Johnny, we need you for this Pirates, or we're in a bad way. I really hope he tells them to go fuck themselves. But anyways, or ask for an exorbitant amount of money. But that's my point. If this was a guy, they would be so fucking done so quick. The only person on earth I've ever seen get away with this shit, and that's because they're more of a joke, is, like I said, Andrew Tate, because he's so far over. It's just like, you watch his shit and you go, I know this is a gimmick. You can't honestly, like, actually believe this. At this point, you're just marketing this, right? There's a huge difference between that level of stupidity versus this is a predator. This is a predator that is preying on your children, and you ignored this. It's disgusting. Anyways, on that note, remember the only rule. Remember the only rule here in the Phantom Zone. I feel dirty just saying that. I'm just gonna say have a good day. After everything I've seen, I can't even use my favorite catchphrase.
Yeah, let's just not. Okay, bye. Love y'all.
Bye. Much love.